What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the JFK Debates Project. I am your host, Matt Douthit from Dallas, Texas. Today we have Charles Ingram, also from Texas. Charles, how you doing?
Good, good. I'm glad you had me on here. I was kind of surprised when we started talking about doing this. I didn't have a whole lot of time to prepare for this, kind of like Oswald.
Oh, yeah. Hey, we're just in the introduction and we're already getting into it. Yeah. For those listening, Charles, you will see his name out there in the Wild West, also known as the JFK Internet Forum, especially on Facebook. And some people think you're a troll. Some people, but some people just think you're a colorful person. I want to know a little bit more about you because you go really hard on
Well, I'll
on
fall on that. I'll fall on that grenade. I'll admit it. I have a little bit of fun with it, and it's just at some point you have to start making jokes, and that's what I do. And a lot of guys on there get mad. They made a meme about me, and I guess it was intended to make me mad, but I kind of liked it, and I
Yeah.
downloaded it, and y'all see me, you see me put it up all the time.
Yeah.
So,
So I wanna give you a bit of a platform here. Are you ready for a no holds barred debate, Charles Ingram?
oh, I hope so. I hope so. I've watched a couple of yours before. I wished I hadn't, but I watched a couple, especially the one with Bill Brown, and yeah, I found myself talking to the screen. I get a lot of time at work to sit and listen to books and put things on my speaker while I'm working, and I'll just have it on as background, and
Cool.
yeah, it's made me into the troll I am today.
Okay. Now,
Yeah.
now you're I would say your number one go-to comment that you write, and you say this in almost every post you make, you say yada yada yada, whatever it is you say, and you always end it with, "How does any of this address the mountain of physical evidence that sits in the National Archives today?" And you say that you mention that all the time. The mountain of evidence, the mountain of physical evidence in the National Archives today. You say that
Yeah.
over and over and over. So I want, what is that to you? But first, that's what we're going to be talking about. But first, how did you get involved in the Kennedy assassination?
Oh man, that's kind of funny actually. This one's probably going to throw you off, but I went to Benbrook Elementary, okay? And some of you guys will know immediately why that is relevant here, and some of you won't. I also lived on a street called Del Rio in Benbrook, Texas. And I remember I was probably in the fourth grade. It had to have been the fourth grade. And I don't remember what we were talking about or anything, but we were outside and my teacher was talking to us about something, and I heard her mention that this is the school where the guy that killed the president went to. And it obviously it stuck in my head. I was like, what's going on? What? Huh? But then we got back to school, and I remember going home that day, and I told my dad, I said, did the president get shot? And he looked at me kind of weird and went and flipped on CNN. And at the time, it was a channel you could trust. And they, he didn't know what was going on. And then he realized it, and he forgot that he kind of knew that Oswald had actually went to elementary school at the same place I did. Obviously not the same time because I'm not 90 years old, but um, it stuck in my head. And so from that point on, every time it ever came up, I just, it interested me. I was a big history buff growing up, and it's my number one thing. When I go on vacation to other places, I don't go to water parks or cruises or whatever. I go to look up local history. I'll tour the graveyards and things like that, and look at the old houses and things. That's what interests me. It's always been like that my whole life, and true crime is one of those things too. So I was always into that since I was a kid, and this is like the ultimate true crime case. But when I told my dad that, he finally explained it to me, and moved on and went on to other parts of it. And then, like a lot of guys, I used to be, I'm going to admit this right off, I used to be a conspiracy guy. And I know some of y'all will ask, well, how did every lone nutter says that? Every lone nutter says that. Well, that's true, because a lot of us started off that way, and because that's all the information that's out there. So when people ask me why I'm so vocal about this case, I'll tell them, man, it's because two reasons. One is because that guy killed two fathers that day with young children, and that's wrong no matter what. And the other one is there's just so many people that glorify this guy, and it's all nonsense pushed by a certain crowd. I don't mean to, I don't. We can keep it friendly. I hope that I like doing that. I don't want to get in, an argument with you or nothing like that. I get personal. I do online, I know, because
You're,
it's fun, but I don't think that I don't know. I think this case I think it's a very easy case. And then I seen, well, like a lot of people, I seen JFK, and I seen it the day it came out. I remember going and seeing it, and how could it not be true? How could it not be true? And then, I'll here's another one that you've heard many, many times, I'm sure, and half of your audience is going to go, "Oh my God, here he goes." But when I finally found case closed, I started looking at stuff a different way, and I just started feeling dumb about ever believing in any of it at all. And it just kind of opened up, well, let me look at this and see. And then I started looking at it like what actually happened, instead of figuring out there was a conspiracy and then trying to fill in the blanks. It just, I don't think that that's the right way to look into, when you're trying to figure out what really happened to something, when you're really trying to figure out what's going on. And when you can get to that point to where you can do that, everything will change, man, and you'll start looking at evidence in a different way. And that's why I always bring that up. So that's kind of how I got into it, man.
now, let's get to that mountain of evidence that you like to bring up. What is this mountain of evidence that you always talk about? Let's
My phone will auto feed it in there. So that's why you see me say the mountain of physical evidence in the National Archives today. Look, man, let's start from what I consider. Let's make sure we're both on the same page on this. These
Yeah,
glasses, these glasses right here are physical evidence. I can pick them up and I can hold them in my hands. I'm in the park right now, as y'all can tell around me.
beautiful.
If I leave these glasses here today and I leave, and then God forbid somebody comes and murders somebody right here at this picnic table in 3 or 4 hours, and my glasses are still here, and they look it up and they trace it to me. I know you want to say that it's innocent until proven guilty, but I'm going to have to explain why my glasses were there. I'm going to have to say, oh man, I was doing a podcast there. Go look it up online. You can see that my phone was online. You can see, uh, I have another camera running over here. You can see that my camera was right there, and all this stuff. And I'm going to have to explain that to the cops. And if I don't do that, they're gonna they don't have enough to convict me, but they're gonna look at that and go, what? Because cops are cops, and they. So I'm gonna have to explain to this. This is physical right here, okay? I never. I mean, I'll talk about witnesses, but I don't really argue witnesses, because they can be wrong, and they have been wrong in so many different parts of this case that they'll get stuff wrong. And so I'm not going to argue about, to me, that doesn't address these glasses. Okay. That doesn't say, explain to me why was your glasses there? And so, I mean, I will argue witnesses, but there's so many of them that are just wrong or outright lying altogether. And it's you'll ask, why was somebody lie on that? Well, it I break this case down a lot to human nature, and a lot of people never bring up stuff like that when they're talking about this. And I think people just want to feel a part of something. They want to be a part of history. If they knew exactly what happened, and they knew how important historically it was going to be, and everyone just wanted to be part of it. They wanted to jump in and put their 2 cents in and be, somehow involved. And it's kind of weird, but I mean that's just the way people are. You look at any historical event in history, and it's the same thing every time. Billy the Kid, he died in Fort Sumner. The Earth is not flat. Okay, we went to the moon. Bigfoot does not exist. It just at some point you have to offer me something other than uh, than 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 witnesses, and there's not even one single piece of physical evidence to back up a conspiracy in this case. Not one. And I'm not talking about a piece of paper that's been printed about something or something like that that you can hold. So don't quote me on that. I'm talking about these again. Okay, there's no physical evidence that exists, and there's no credible exculpatory evidence that that would say that anyone other than Oswald did it. I mean, it's just there's nothing there. I mean, I always thought the mob had something to do with it, but the more you know about the mob, there's no way. It just didn't happen. I mean, you can say it all you want, and I'll give you, I'll go down that road with you, and I'll tell you why that they didn't have anything to do with it at all. Nothing. So I go for the simple answer in this thing. I don't think there's anything else involved in it. It's just it's a simple case that has been clouded by decades of nonsense and speculation. And just like Bigfoot, there's no there's videos out there everywhere, and there's footprints out there everywhere, but there's no hair, there's no bones, there's no carcass, there's nothing. So it just right now you have divorced guys that are spending their paychecks that are out in the woods with their brand new truck looking for a big hairy man running around. And this is really just the same thing, man. I mean, it really is. Hey, listen, you can come over to the Lone Nutter side, and it's just as entertaining. And I hate to use that saying or that word when we're talking about two men lost their lives, but I mean, let's be real about this. It's a hobby of ours, and I don't think we'll ever agree on it, but we can go, back and forth on it. But I always ask people to pick one piece of that evidence though and explain off that one piece of evidence. And like I told you, I'm in construction, so I'm a logistics guy. I'll bring up the obviously the rifle, the paper trail for the rifle, the shells on the sixth floor, the bullet itself, the pistol, the paper trail for the pistol, the shells at the tippet scene, the jacket under the car, the backyard pics, which were forensically matched to the camera that the Oswalds owned. And I believe, here's one I'm going to go off on this one here, but I believe Marina, a lot of it. And I believe her testimony. I think she looked at it and was like, you know what, this guy's ruined my life, and I'm going to tell the truth. And that stuff gets overlooked, and it gets overlooked by pure speculation and things that people just pull out of thin air. It's just all the conspiracies, all of them lead to nowhere, and they're all based on speculation, pure speculation. There's no physical proof to prove any of it, man. And that's why I only stick to the physical evidence, because if they're gonna if there ever was a trial, because a lot of y'all I call you CT nuts, don't get mad at me, you call me Lone Nutter, and I'll embrace it, man. You can call me that. I think it's funny. A lot of y'all will try to look at things from a lawyer's way, like when you were talking with Bill Brown. You were, and I immediately, the second I've seen you start to do this is when I was talking to my phone. I said, "Oh my God, he's going to dissect Oswald's escape from the depository. He's going to dissect it into different parts, and then he's going to try to add 30 seconds to a minute to each one, and then he's going to try to claim that it couldn't be done." And I seen right where you were going, and I was just going, "There's too many variables in there that could alter that either way." The fact is that he was able to do it, and It's been done. It's been not done, but he's was able to do it, and we know it because the other evidence, says yes. So I just at some point you stop looking at all these theories and everything. And here's another thing: y'all don't even agree with each other. CT nuts don't even agree with each other. You'll just pick and choose, and then all y'all are together trying to come up with this wild scenario, but there's just nothing there, man. It's just there's nothing to it. And I look at it more and more every day. I try to learn more about it, and I even watch y'all stuff. I try to, you know, inform myself with that. So I try to keep myself on that side, and then as you go, they'll start explaining their conspiracy theory, and then they get to a point, and you're like, whoa, 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 hold on a minute, that ain't right, and they'll just completely dismiss it and move on to other things. I mean, the one thing that I have found that y'all can never, you'll only dismiss it is the physical evidence. And like I was saying a second ago about y'all going with the lawyer tactics, if you want to do that, I mean, we would have had an evidentiary hearing, just like what Bill was saying, and that stuff would have been in there, and you would have had to explain it. So I know you want it to be innocent until proven guilty, but that's just not the way it is.
All right, let's
And,
talk
and
about that physical evidence. What do you want to
absolutely.
What do you want to start?
Well, any of those, I mean, anything that's in there, there's still fibers in there. There's still, and in the National Archives, there's still bullets there. There's the gun itself,
Yep.
I mean, all of that. Where'd that come from? Who did it? Who brought the rifle up there?
So
Why would they have used such a junky rifle? Which, by the way, I own two of those, Matt. I own two
yeah,
Carcanos myself, and um, they are effective weapons for what they were designed to do. They will kill at distances. I've used them to hunt pigs here in Texas, and they do what they're supposed to do. And they're not junky rifles. I mean, they're Italian made, and
yeah,
and they're just I don't most of the people that will say that they're junks never even held one or been in around one,
I have.
except
I've
except for the sixth
shot
floor
I've
one they have.
shot that rifle. I've shot that rifle, and it is a piece of junk.
Nah, man, it's good, dude. I've dropped pigs with it before, so I mean, I've done it. So
Bullets were falling out of it. It was misfiring like 65% of the time. It was jamming. It was a really piece of crap shit rifle. It really was. And I have video of it. So, and that really solidified my whole belief, man, this could not have happened.
but that also, why would you use that? Why would you say that argument? And why would, if he was part of a conspiracy, why wouldn't he have the most latest technology sniper rifle on the market instead of this piece of junk that y'all claim that he came up there? I mean, then you got to get to where I believe that was the rifle and the bullet came from it.
I think we have to argue with what we have, not with, well, here's what I would have done, or why wasn't this done? You see, I like to.
Agreed. Agreed. There's so much of that in this case that people are just throw out there. Definitely on. I agree on that. So
Yeah.
why was his rifle found up there? You know, I
Here's where we can agree. I think that the rifle that's in the National Archives, I think that was the rifle that was found in the depository. You see, that's where we can agree.
absolutely.
So I think that there's a lot more that we agree rather than what we disagree, because as I've been saying, we're all talking about the same thing. We're talking about the same rifle and the same bullet and the same fiber. We're all talking about that. I guess we just have disagreements on just
Well,
what.
I've never really watched all your videos because I kind of wanted to come into this blind, and I didn't I don't really know all the points of what you think happened that day. I mean, I kind of go with the Warren Commission. I think they came out with the right solution, but they just a few things they didn't have figured out, and now we've got them figured out, and we've had 62 3 years to to figure them out, and still nothing's changed. I mean, nothing's ever come out or anything. I mean,
What
there's
about
no smoking gun here.
what about H? Oh, I think there are many smoking guns, but what about HSCA counsel Gary Cornwell? He said in his book that something like, "quote We the HSCA proved that almost everything that the Warren report said was wrong." And he's not just talking about the acoustics. He's talking like almost everything else. He says, we proved that they were wrong. So
Yeah, there's a lot of things in there that I mean, the biggest thing they got wrong was their conclusion of there's a conspiracy. I mean, it's just, I don't care what the percentage was, they were wrong. I mean, they didn't get it right, and that was proved. That was proven afterwards. That acoustics evidence is been debunked, and there's things like that that I laugh at, that I don't. I'm just over it, man. It's not. There's nothing to that. If there was, y'all would be screaming it. You'd be standing up screaming it out loud, and nothing ever comes of it. It's just it all goes back to the same thing of things happen a way that they happen, and life's pretty simple, man. I think that one guy just got lucky this day. I mean, that's all that happened, and
here,
and and you have to explain this evidence. I mean, where did all this come from? Where
here's
was it all found?
here's the
Sorry.
here's the only difference. You say it was one shooter, right? You think it was just one shooter. I think it was one shooter plus two other shooters. There's nothing wrong.
Correct.
There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, it's just one plus two. What's so hard to wrap your mind around?
Because that's gonna there's nothing else there. There's nobody else that was there. Oswald shot where he shot from because that was where he had access to. If he would have had access to one of the other buildings, he would have shot from there. If he had access to a place in Fort Worth, he would have shot from there. It didn't matter where he was. It's just that he just got lucky. He only had a couple of days to prepare for this. I mean, he didn't really have a whole lot of time.
I've never really heard about that a couple days, but most people think it was spring of the moment. But
From
here,
the paper, the newspaper. It didn't come out in the newspaper.
so you say the shots came from one place. Here's the thing. I think that the shots came from one place plus two other places.
Have you
So
ever? I know you've been up to the sixth floor museum, right?
yes.
Bunches of times. Whenever you're up there and you're standing there and you're looking down, it's a whole different ball game than when you're standing on the street up there looking down at it. And the way that the car was moving at the time, he was moving away and down, which took out any type of arch that Oswald would have had to put in that rifle. And
But here,
to my personal opinion, and here's a speculation on this, my personal opinion is that he didn't even use that scope. I think that he used the iron sights
yeah,
because that's what I do, and I don't think that he used the scope at all. I think that that
he,
was
yeah,
just on.
yeah, of course. As everyone knows, he couldn't have used that scope because it was so misaligned, and they had to, put shims in it to fix it and everything like that when they tested it. But are you trying to say something like it wasn't? You look at that window and it's an easy shot. You know what I mean?
Yes, I've taken two guys that have more deer heads on their wall than Cabela's, and I've taken them up there before doing I do little tours for when my friends and have family come in ground or in town. I'll go out to the dealie and show them around, and I was doing that, and I took both of them up there, and these guys have been hunting for 40 years. I mean, they've got trophy rooms, and when I took them up there and I showed them the X from up there, they were just both looking at each other and going, "Are you kidding me? I could have done this with a pistol." And
Here's where we agree.
I think it's a very, very easy shot. And I think that I know it could have been recycled. The rifle could have been cycled through in the time that he had.
Here,
So I take that part of it out. I don't believe that it was a hard shot at all. He
here's
could have hit him with a Daisy BB gun. Sorry.
That's okay. Here's where we agree. I don't think it was. I'm not saying that it was a hard shot because almost all of us critics believe that he was shot in the head from behind, and for a lot of us from that window. Uh, Let me just use myself as an example. I believe he was shot from that rifle from that window. I believe he was shot in the head. So we're in agreement again.
Where so you think that the other wounds on Conley and him came from other directions?
I believe Kennedy was hit in the back. I believe Conley was hit in the back. I believe Kennedy was shot twice in the head, once from the front and once from the behind.
From the knoll, the grassy knoll.
Mhm.
If you stood out there, here's one of my biggest arguments about it. I mean, one, there's no evidence of it, but two, if you fired a rifle from the grassy knoll over there, man,
Yeah,
everybody out there would know about it.
he did.
Every single person would know about it. I mean, it would have been he would have been standing right behind Zapruder, and it would have just rocked that area. Because I mean, I don't, maybe you don't believe in it, but if you go look at Dealey, it's an echo chamber. There's concrete on a bunch of the walls, and you're going to have sound bouncing around in there. That's why I think that a lot of the people that said that there were shots coming from over there, that's why they said it. I mean, there's a simple answer for just about everything in this case.
Here's the thing. You say that if it had been like this, then everyone would have heard this and Zapruder would have seen that. But all that did happen. Everyone, 58 to over 100 people said that a shot came from up there on the knoll, and Zapruder said
But
it,
you know what we're doing right now again?
it came from behind me. He said it came
We're
from
ar- we're
me.
arguing witnesses.
So
We're
all
arguing witnesses again, and I forget, and we kind of got off on that. And I
well,
don't ever argue with that. I just because to
well,
me,
well, if we take every witness out, for all we know, John F. Kennedy committed suicide. You need
I'm
with
not saying take them all out. Obviously, you ever watch that show, The First 48? You ever watch that?
no. I want to
It's
talk
it.
about your mountain of evidence. I want to talk about the evidence. I don't want
Well,
to.
this kind of goes in with it, and the way that murders are investigated. Um, they'll go out and they'll interview a lot of people, but they won't use a lot of people, some of the people, because they don't, it's obvious they don't know what's going on. it's
So,
it's obvious, and so it's
so what's
another simple answer to it.
so?
So
So you say you don't want
but
to throw out every
but
witness, so you just want to throw out some witnesses? Is that what you're saying?
no, and I know where you're going with that, and I'm not trying to do that. I'm not trying to be unfair with it, but
Trying to
I
understand
think that a lot of the witnesses, like
what witnesses don't you like? Do not like?
um oh man, there's a long list of them. I don't look at Matt, when you start to go as far as I have into this case, it's hard to listen to anything else because you know what happened, and I'm way past the know what happened point. Oswald was OJ guilty. I mean, he was as guilty as OJ, and and it, so it's hard for me to listen to people that, and I see it, and I'll look at them trying to testify, and I think that we can argue back and forth about what people think and what people say, and what we can't argue about are these right here. I
Okay,
still have I still
so
have to explain these.
I've never heard that before. That Oswald was OJ guilty, like that slam dunk evidence.
I mean, it's just
Uh, I've never heard.
very easy case clouded by decades of nonsense and speculation. Remember?
Here's the thing, and I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I don't think there's any piece of evidence that points Oswald towards being the sole shooter.
If you're talking about hold up one piece of evidence and say, here, look, DNA evidence, no, but there's a pile of my mountain that once you start getting back and you start looking at all these items in here that can be laid out today and shown that they were collected that day, or within a reasonable amount of time. And if the FBI's in on it, if the Dallas police are in on it, then just show me some evidence other than an opinion, because
I guess we're just
there's
I guess we're just sort of talking about vague generalities right there. So you said OJ slam dunk evidence. That's pretty interesting. So let's start
yeah,
with
I tell people that.
like what? So like what? Like what?
I say people that all the time. Well, I mean, like I said, the all the evidence I was talking about a minute ago. I mean, all that stuff is still in the National Archives, man. I mean, who planted it? How did fibers from Oswald's shirt get into a jacket that they found under a car on his escape route
Now we're
that his
talking.
wife identified?
Now we're
How did they do that?
we can get there, but that's talking about Tippett. Let's stick with JFK. Come on.
The rifle, everything. I'm asking you about all this, all that stuff. I mean, what about the shells and that were found up there? The bag, the
I
all that stuff.
Here's where we agree. I agree, as I said, that rifle that's in the archives today is one of the rifles that was used in the assassination, and I think the three shells that were found on the floor of the underneath the 64 window were used in the assassination. So that's where we agree.
You do believe the shells found on there were fired from that rifle?
Yeah, but that doesn't mean it's
Okay,
all.
okay, okay. That's what I mean. That stuff all is going to be brought up in evidence, and they're going to be able to prove that Oswald bought that rifle.
I take the position that my mentor, author David Lifton, took is he thinks that Oswald did order that rifle and that revolver. He just doesn't think that he fired it during the assassination.
But why would y'all? I mean, what evidence did you would? Is there? Look, you can just pull things out of the air, and that's what I mean by speculation. You can just, a meteor came down and hit it, whatever you want. I mean, but you have to have something other than just a thought or a feeling that Bigfoot's out there.
We can,
Okay, you can't keep saying it, man. You're gonna have to.
uh,
What's some kind of evidence of?
what about Albert Ostman in the 1920s? He was kidnapped by a family of Bigfoot and held captive for days before he made his escape. And he was saved by coffee ground and snuff. What about that? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. That's a
Hey,
whole
I didn't know, man. I didn't know. I was going, where's he going with this? I don't know which, because
kidding.
that's the kind of thing that I'm used to dealing with, man.
I'm just joking, but that's one of my favorite stories of all time. But
Yes.
but who knows? Maybe it was a tribe of like Neanderthal descendants or something like that. Maybe there's a naturalistic explanation for that. But we can talk about that later. So let's talk about this. So again, I'm agreeing with you that I think Oswald bought the rifle and the revolver. So far, I've agreed with almost everything you say because again, we're talking about the same stuff.
Okay. And then bullets that were found and those matched, and you don't, and it's his rifle and it's his work, and it's, I mean, he shot from there. So, I mean, that's the physical evidence I believe is there.
You see, that's where we deviate. I agree with everything you said up until the very end where you said, and he shot him. So, I mean, we can get into that, but so far we're in agreement on
Well,
the
but
physical evidence.
so who fired the weapon? Who shot it? I mean, this guy fly off the roof. I mean, you can start making all this stuff up, man, but there's just nothing there other than that one guy that was up there. When Marion Baker and Truly came in the building, they couldn't get the elevator because Oswald had left it open upstairs. I mean, it just, he was seen up there. And we have to, he actually even incriminated himself in questioning, but we can't use that because I know what you're going to say on that. You know, the cops were in on it, and so that's why I never argue all that.
I wouldn't
I
say for every question about the cops. I I mean that's not my stock answer for everything. I mean
Well,
I
I mean, today, if we were in a murder trial and you said some of this investigation, the cops were covering their own butts, and some of it they were being truthful on this, and I get that. I know where that would go. It'd be straight out the door, and I get that. But we have the benefit of hindsight here, and we can look at
okay,
the
so far we agree that shots came from the depository.
what. Let me ask you this: what evidence do you have of another shooter from there? I believe in the. I know it sounds crazy. I believe in the magic bullet. I mean it to me. But to me, you take all that stuff out. We know that the bullets were fired from up there. We know that the bullets came out of that gun that killed them. If you were today shown that evidence in a trial, that guy would be convicted. I mean, he'd be in the chair. I
I
mean,
know maybe in the 60s, but I don't think he would be convicted today, but that's another thing.
I'm able to remove the fact that it was the president. If you take the fact that it was the president out, and then And it doesn't have to, we don't have to look at all this other stuff just because it's that. I mean, it's the cops knew that day. They solved this case that day. You know why? Because it was really obvious who did it. And they were cops doing their job.
think it was
And they figured it out. I think the Dallas police solved it that very day.
that very day.
Yes. I think they knew within a couple of hours. They were just trying to gather more evidence, and whenever it started rolling in, it was pretty obvious to them who did it.
Um, Henry Wade, he gave a press conference on Sunday evening or late Sunday evening where he said, oh, we've, essentially wrapped this whole case. Here's all the evidences of all that we have against Oswald. And I did like a whole live stream reacting to it, how it holds up. And I'm like, none of this holds up. Everything he's saying is either not true or it's wrong. I mean, I'll put the link in the description box down here, but it's like analyzed every single word of his press conferences. Here he says, here's the list of, and it doesn't. It's either, as I said, it's either wrong
Well,
or
why is it wrong to you? Because you have a certain thing that you want it to go to, that you want to you're trying to steer it towards. And I think that that's where most of the CT guys, they'll that's what they do. They know there's a conspiracy because they just feel it in their bones. And then they start to steer any evidence towards that. And if it's something real damning, like your gun was found at the scene or on you, then you just dismiss it. And that's what every single time I run into, I never have, and that's why I say address the mountain of physical evidence in the National Archives.
well, let's talk about that right now. So, you said something like, you, and we're kind of wandering right here. We've been wandering a little bit. Let's see. Okay, let's see. So we talked about we agree on the rifle, the shell.
There's still a lot of stuff in there. Okay, there's a
Okay,
whole lot.
so far we've agreed on almost everything you said. So what's next? We've agreed on the rifle, on that the shot came from the window. We agree that Oswald ordered the revolver and the rifle. We agree that the shells came from the rifle. So what? So so go on. So
It sounds to me like you might have a little bit of lone nutter in you. I'm just gonna have to convince you over. I'm gonna have to bring you over to the
I just said
to
does
the
not
away from the dark side.
everything I just said does not.
Look, I'm just asking for any proof that there was anybody else that shot from any other where. I mean, how do you know what you know? What are your sources? How do you know somebody was in the Dowtex building? How do you know that somebody shot
Here's the thing.
from?
I don't I don't think anyone was in the Daltex building.
Well, I'm just throwing that out there. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people believe he was shot from there. Like I
So
said, none of
far,
y'all agree. There's 100 different theories, probably a 200, and none of y'all even agree with each other. Only that the lone nutter's bad. Well, man, I mean, what do you got? Give me something, Matt. What evidence do you
all
have that there's
you,
another shooter?
you think all I say is Lone Nutter's bad?
No, I don't mean you. I'm talking, man. I've been out to Dealey before, and I go out there all the time. I live here local, and so I'm always out there. I go out there once a week sometimes. And I've had guys that I've had to say, "Hey, you better calm your hostile ass down," while we're sitting here trying to have a conversation, and y'all get mad, man. Y'all get upset whenever someone starts to call you on your nonsense, man. And so I group. Look, I put you in the CT nut category. I'm the lone nutter, so that's what I mean. I'm not trying to,
There you
you
go.
know,
So let's push this.
it's all in good fun, man.
Let's put this conversation a little forward. So far, so far we've agreed on a lot. We've agreed on a lot. So what's next? I think you said.
What I mean, I'm asking you, what makes you think that there was another shooter? I mean, what is it? Just something that you just feel, or is it?
Oh,
I mean, was there shells and footprints found, or fingerprints, or
footprints.
anything like that. What you call footprints behind the fence, I call some guy having a smoke. I mean, you don't know where that any of that came from, and where's I mean, is how did they pick those footprints up? Did they put them in the National Archives today? I
Uh,
mean,
that's what I want to know. I want to know why they didn't collect the fresh footprints and the fresh cigarette butts that were found behind the grassy knoll. And we know someone was there because, you know,
look, I would be lying if I told you that this case was investigated that day the same way they would today if there was an assassin of our president today. Obviously, that's not true. They 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 did it was so obvious to them that the investigation I'll give you steered right towards one person, just like most murder investigations do. Most, not all, but most.
so
The cop will show up, they'll figure out immediately who had what was going on, and they'll go, okay, where'd John go? Where's Oswald? Why isn't he here? Where did he go? Let's start looking around and everything. So
you
their
see,
investigation was steered right away.
so let
So I look at stuff like, oh, we found some footprints over here, like I'm in the park right now. If there's footprints over here behind me, I mean, there's going to be footprints everywhere. There's people out here all the time. This is a parking lot.
yeah, but
So
the key thing is that the people elevated were able to see the smoke come from there at the time that the shooting happened. You know what? I think it was Mark Lane who said something like, I do believe that when at least seven people, saw a puff of smoke during the shooting at the location where, 58 people thought that a shot came from, it's pretty reasonable to infer that the puff of
what
smoke might have been from a gun. So,
what was the win? What was the win that day? I don't want to say nothing, and because I'm sure you can beat me on a lot of these little bitty facts like this, and I'll give you that. What was the win that day? It was pretty. It was a light breeze, wasn't it?
I
A pretty stiff breeze.
the temperature was 62. I don't recall. I don't recall.
There was a breeze. Carcanos don't make smoke like that. They just don't.
Well, the Travel Channel fired a Carcano from behind the fence, and there's smoke right there. I mean, there's no problem. When Oliver Stone fired from the grassy knoll, there was smoke there as well. And you know,
Didn't he use bellows from a prop guy? Didn't he use fake smoke from a prop guy?
no, it showed. I've heard that. But
Well, I'm telling you, mine don't. I'm telling you, mine don't.
I
So
can't. I can't find. Well, that's the thing.
we'll have to set up a range day one day when you come out and fire one of mine, and
I think it
we'll.
would probably depend on each type, on each. I guess each rifle is a little different because when I fired, there was no smoke. But when I've seen other videos, with the when the HSCA fired, there was smoke from it, and I think they fired.
I need to know did they what kind of ammo they
I
used.
think
I
they
need to know
fired
did they
with
put a bunch of
Oswald's
oil down the barrel. What do they
rifle.
do?
So there are videos where there is no smoke, and there is videos where there is smoke. So I think, I've always wondered that. Have you do different Carcanos or different, despite being the same model and year and make and everything, I mean, it's obvious watching these videos that some emit smoke and some do not.
You'd have to show me when,
What's your
and
take on that?
those the people that say they seen the smoke. You'd have to show me when they said that, the dates and everything, because I think that a lot of people will hear something and hear somebody say something, and then all of a sudden, oh, you know what? I seen that. And it's again that goes back to my human nature thing of people just want to be a part of something, and that's where we're at again with that. And I
No,
just I
no,
don't think that overrides. I don't think any of that overrides all that evidence sitting in the National Archives. I always go to that, and no one will ever explain it to me. I know I'm jumping off too, though, because this is our first time talking, man. So I want to, I'm getting off topic a little bit with you, but it's okay.
they're elevated so they can see what everyone down here cannot see. So they're elevated enough to see the smoke come out. And I believe two of them signed the police affidavits that day. And then when the other five were interviewed, they also said that smoke was, seen. So we have smoke seen at the moment that the shots are fired, and they not only saw it, but they acted upon it, and they ran over there, and they had
When
and,
the cops today get somewhere and they go out and they start asking who killed this guy, it's obvious that this guy over here has no clue what he's talking about. So they won't mess with that. They'll go over to the people that actually do know, and that what they're saying supports the evidence. I don't believe in anything that anyone says on there because it doesn't contradict the physical evidence that's sitting in the National Archives today.
oh,
That doesn't have anything to do with putting the fibers from Oswald's shirt into that jacket that was found that Marina said that was his. That has nothing to do with putting those shells. And I know I keep jumping around, but this is one case to me. They never stop. They never tell why those shells were found there. They never explain why the paper trail for the rifle. None of I seen smoke will debunk any of this other evidence that we can still hold. And
so
that's how I argue with y'all every time. And I've never had anybody say anything other than that. They've always just kind of dismissed it and said, "Oh, that's not it." And the other thing is like because you see, I only rely on physical evidence. If you have something that shows me there was another shooter, then show me. But I mean, I don't think cigarette butts and footprints proves that someone shot from there.
well, it's not just true, but it's not just that. It's cigarette and footprints where they saw the people elevated saw a puff of smoke come out from. Was it before the shots or after the shots? No, it was during the shots, during the shooting. So that, I mean, and they not only,
Hey, even if there was somebody there that was smoking, even if there was just a guy standing there that was smoking, we're really at speculation at that point, man. It doesn't.
hold on.
I would have agreed with you had that day if I'd have been standing there. I'd have said, "Hey, pick these things up," and I agree with that. Well, I would have picked up. I would have done everything,
So,
but it.
hold on, just a second, just a second. So they not only saw it, they acted upon it. They said, let's, and they ran around to the to that spot behind the grassy knoll, behind the wooden fence, and it took them 2.5 minutes to get there because the parking lot was jam packed. They were crawling over cars, and they eventually got there, and in the exact spot where they saw the smoke come out, they found what do we have? We found fresh footprints, cigarette butts, and we have mud on the bumper of the car right there. So someone was standing on the car looking up over the fence. So there was mud on the wooden bar at the bottom of the fence where someone was looking up and looking over the fence. So there was someone there. And there's of course, as everyone knows, there's a shape.
You know why that's important to y'all? You know why that's so important to y'all? Because it's something that you can explain in a way that whoa, wait a second, because you're explaining it like a defense attorney just trying to get his client off.
No, no.
Even if there was anything there, how would that have put Oswald's rifle up on the sixth floor? How would that have put the shells on the floor? How would that have put his prints on everything? How would they have put? You see what I'm saying? That none of that really matters.
I
I
already,
mean, you to me, if it was to try to explain the lone nutter side, you would be disagree. You'd just disagree with it.
I already granted you that that's Oswald's rifle that was used.
Yeah. Right.
So
Yeah, I know. I know.
do you concede that someone was behind the picket fence during the shooting?
If there actually was that evidence there, do we have? I mean, how do we know that? Is it just somebody saying it? Was it actually there? Were there pictures taken of it? I mean, if we do, yeah, there was some. I'll say there was a possibility somebody was back there, but you don't know if it was when it was. You don't know. There's nothing else to say what they did other than they were sitting back there smoking, which everybody smoked at the time, and he might have just came out and had a couple of smokes and then went over and witnessed the president being assassinated. I mean, we don't know, but none of that changes any of the physical evidence that was collected and found that day,
Well,
that
here's
very day.
why were those footprints and those cigarette butts behind the picket fence? Why wasn't it collected? Why not?
Hey, there's a whole lot of stuff, Matt, that I will just come right out, flat right out and tell you I don't know. I don't know why it was. I wasn't there that day, and I wish that it would have. There's actually a few things that if I was on your side and I was trying to get me in a debate, there's a few things that I would use personally that I just think's weird and I wished wouldn't have happened. And there was a whole lot of stuff there that day that happened like that. And because you know why? No other murder case has been looked at like this. No other murder case.
What
And we went through every bit of it, and so you're going to find little things that are like, oh well, a guy, we found footprints and cigarettes, so that means that there was another shooter. No, that doesn't mean that there was another shooter. That just means that you found cigarettes and footprints.
what if a bunch of cops? What if a bunch of cops that day all said the exact same thing that a shot? No. And what if they not only heard it as well, but like the other guys, but they also acted upon it and ran to it, ran to the same spot? What would you say?
I know what you're talking about, them running up the grassy knoll. So I think that the people were just, if you're, don't ever try to convince me that people run towards active gunshots because they just don't do that. I mean, no one would, even back then. I know I'm not running towards it. Um, I think that the echo chamber confused people in there because the sound was bouncing off of stuff. I mean, it was, I think that they got confused. That's why I think you have so many people saying that the shots came from different locations. Um, I believe Howard Brennan. I believe that it's just a very easy case, man. I don't think, I think there's a lot of stuff that gets brought up in this case that just doesn't it doesn't have any bearing on the physical evidence. And that's why you hear me say that every single time, man. I keep going back to that because how did these glasses get here? I mean, did I if I loaned them to my brother and my brother came down here and he was here and left it, then that would explain me not leaving them here. But I would have to explain that. I mean, I'd have to say, "Oh man, you know, I mean, how does it?" That's the one thing that no one ever addresses. They just say, "Oh, it's not right," or "Oh, it's planted," "Oh, it's fake," "Oh, it's fabricated." How do you know it's fabricated, planted, and faked? How do you know that? You got to give me something other than just a feeling because there just has to be something else here to this case other than one lone guy just got lucky. All the planets and the moons were lined up that day and it just happened.
That's not true at all. I argue from evidence. I argue from the evidence that is in the National Archives, which is all those police affidavits and FBI interviews and physical evidence. I mean, everything. That's again, we're both arguing from the same thing, as I keep saying. So you can see that there was someone behind the fence, correct?
I think I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I don't know. I don't know what those. I don't know if that was the guy there at that time or not. I
Well,
don't know.
yeah,
You don't know.
in that.
You're just using something that you're speculating on this. Oh, there's cigarette butts. That means that there was a shooter. No, that's not how it works, man. I mean, if you found shells there, we'd be having a different a conversation.
How many
Okay, if you found some shells, or if you found,
people? Well, first of all, why would a grassy knoll assassin leave his brass behind?
why would he leave it behind upstairs? Oswald was an assassin. I mean, why would he? I mean, we got hindsight here to look at things, man. I mean, you know, I don't think that footprints and cigarettes butts solve this case. I don't think that they debunk all the physical evidence in the
Oh,
National Archives. I don't think that they put fibers inside of his inside of the rifle that matched his shirt. I don't think that they put fibers in the
oh,
into the those. That's all the physical evidence that's still in there today, man, and it has to be explained to. I
Alex,
go back to it every time, and that's why you hear me say it so much.
do you think what about the anomalous shape that's not there in later pictures? That's in the
I
exact
think all those photographs are way too grainy to make any type of positive ID on a person or anything there. You
even
can enhance them, but then you've enhanced them. You can't do that. I mean, I don't want to do it if you do it for us. I don't want to do it if we do it for y'all. It's the same way. And that doesn't approve, that doesn't do anything for the physical evidence.
well, that is physical evidence. It's a photograph of the shooter. and it's not there in later pictures, so that has to be a person, and
That's just
that's
grainy.
where footprints and cigarette butts were found, and that's where
And
the
if and
was, and that's
if
where
there was a
the was
if
from.
there was a photograph of a person standing on the sixth floor, you would see it like, oh well, he's obviously there. And if you're gonna use it to where however it goes, either way, you're gonna use it to the conspiracy side and try to manipulate it to say that you're gonna see it one way, and it doesn't. It
That there was a
a grainy photograph doesn't put the shells on the sixth floor. A grainy photograph doesn't put Oswald's prints on the rifle.
doesn't have to be grainy because there's because we can see that
I will tell you, I don't know if there's a person there or not. I don't know. I don't see anything there. I personally look at it and I don't see anything there. Okay, it's almost like trying to figure out a constellation in the sky. You just look up and there's some stars, but until you know, you really don't know. And then what y'all do is draw the little line around the Roman and say, here it is.
hold on. So if we have a shape behind the fence that's not there in later pictures, and that spot is where, dozens upon dozens upon dozens upon dozens of people say a shot came from. And if that's where the elevated witnesses saw smoke come from, and then they run to that spot and they find fresh footprints and cigarette butts, and all this adds up. It's How could you say that there was not at least a person there? I mean, you can say there was a person smoking there.
If they, who found where's the evidence of that stuff found? What do we have today to say that? Because I've heard it before, I know, but I don't know actually. Was there a footprint? Was it? I mean, did we take? I'm sorry, a photograph taken of it?
Unfortunately, not. Unfortunately, there wasn't because they
Okay,
3 to 5 minutes.
what again? That's the witnesses said that there was there. So really, what we're getting back down to is the fact that you're wanting to argue about physical evidence that we really don't even know if it was collected that day, and we lose that. So okay, so that's really there's nothing to argue about that because we don't have any way of proving that there were actually footprints and
Well,
cigarette butts back there.
it's just one. If it was just one person, then maybe they're mistaken. If it was two people, then that bolsters it. And if there's three people, that bolsters it. And if there's more than that, so we have corroborating data from at least more than one source.
That were said that day. That evidence was collected that day.
That's the thing. That's what I keep trying to say. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. That's what I keep trying
Okay.
to say is that it was not for some, and that's a good question. You raised it. That's a very good question you just raised. Why was it not collected? Because today we could use DNA on those cigarette butts. If they were still around, we could test out suspects with their shoe
Yeah,
print.
but they would have never had any concept of that ever being a thing back then. So that's our hindsight again.
Still be an
We can
evidence. I mean,
for
but
sure.
but nonetheless, I think the reason why he wasn't collected that day was because right after the shots and you've heard this, this is a basic fact in the case. There was a man in a suit, and he told the cops and the witnesses on the grass, hey, I'm Secret Service, I'm holding the area secure, and they're like, oh, okay, and that made sense until they figured out there was no Secret Service agents on the knoll, and they said, well, whoever that guy was bluffed you and got away. So maybe that's the reason why, and that's a basic fact of the case, but I think maybe that's why they didn't collect footprints. He said, hey, I'm holding the area secure. I've got this. You know what I mean? Go look, go look somewhere else, or and they focused on the
Yeah,
repository.
I'm not saying they did
They
the
were
best
shooed away.
investigation.
They
Uh,
were shooed away, and then the evidence couldn't be collected. Why is some guy doing that? And we have that guy on film, as a matter of fact. I'll put it right here on the screen. We have that guy on film. Who was that guy? Who was he? Why is
don't
he
know.
why is he pretending to be a Secret Service agent and destroying a crime scene?
I don't know who are these people over here behind me. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't have anything to do with this being dropped there. It has. It's not gonna erase that. I don't. I
Yeah,
mean,
crime
how
scene.
far do they have to go out from a crime scene? How far do they have to go out to see it? I mean, they knew pretty well right off. I mean, it was pretty obvious. I mean, they immediately started talking to people and figuring it out, and right away. I mean, it is instantly. It's like I said, this is an easy case, man, clouded by decades of nonsense and speculation. It still doesn't do anything to combat the physical evidence, man. It doesn't put Oswald's print on the rifle. It doesn't put it doesn't put his the shells there. It doesn't put his uh the camera where he takes a picture holding the two murder weapons, and it
Here's the
doesn't do any of that.
will agree.
It doesn't do any of that.
I agree. Again, I agree that those backyard photos are legit. I agree. I agree. So we agree again. So let's,
Man, you're gonna mess around and you're gonna come over to the lone nutter side. Before you know it, I'm gonna have you on here arguing with me.
but none of that's pointing towards Oswald. All that's true. All that can be true, and none of that points towards Oswald being true. So you talked about, so you don't accept the physical evidence of the footprints and cigarette butts, and you don't agree with the dozens of witnesses who.
I'm not saying I don't agree with the cigarette butts and stuff. I'm saying that we don't know. All we have is somebody saying it, so we don't know. I wouldn't be using it to say my side if that was all I had. I wouldn't be.
How is
That's
anything?
not a smoking gun. That's okay. Somebody sat here and smoked some cigarettes.
How is
Now,
anything? Because someone says it.
what's that?
I said, how is anything anything? Because people say it.
Well, I don't put a lot into people, man. I think they can be wrong a lot of times. I think they can be. I didn't agree with the way you and Bill Brown, how your theory on if so many people believe something, it makes it true. And I was just going, go drive down any freeway today, and you'll see that 90% of the people out here are idiots, and they can be swayed to think a certain way, and I think that that's what it is. There's so much CT stuff out here that's all you get, so you start thinking there must be. And I don't think that, let's just say that, look, we did find some cigarette butts and footprints back there. That doesn't mean that anything at all that guy shot from there. And
What if,
you would say that too, like I said, if it was the other way around, you would say the same thing. You would say, oh, that doesn't put Oswald in the window with the rifle. Well, man,
it
who
does?
else did it?
Okay.
I mean, it's kind of like that. Who else did it? I mean, there's no one up there. He did it.
What if we have a photo of the guy behind the fence during the assassination? What would you say?
But you'll have to show me a photograph that doesn't look like that Minecraft video gamers. I mean, you got to show me something that shows me there's a guy there and he's got a rifle pointed over it.
Oh,
But then you have to back all that up with, where did the shots go? Where did the bullets go?
so isn't
Where did they go?
isn't that physical evidence in the photograph?
If you showed me a photograph of a guy firing from over the fence, yeah,
Yeah,
that'd be physical evidence.
yeah. As I, yeah, we
We just
have
disagree on that. I say that it's not a guy firing. I've seen all those photographs too, and every time it looks like
so it's
it looks like some grainy 60s photo, or photo, and that you can't see, and it's way off. And people's, like I said, the constellation, you just start going, look, there's a guy. No, it ain't.
well, if it's not there in later pictures, what does that mean? Does that mean that it's that if it's not
What
there in pictures, that means it was a person?
what do you mean it's not there in later pictures? No, it could be anything, man. It could be anything at all.
Well,
A
we
bird could have landed, and
tower.
it doesn't matter. That's me speculating on that, and that's what I'm not going to do. I mean, I don't.
If we can line up everything else in the photograph from a later photograph and compare
I
everything
think that,
there, but wait a minute, this one anomalous shape that's there where the footprints and cigarette butts where everyone heard a shot from the no, that's not there in later pictures. That's a person. That's physical evidence. In a
I don't say it's a person, man. I don't. I think that there's none of those photographs are clear enough to show an actual person there. They are all way too bad of photographs. None of them show that. I look at the exact same photo that you see, and I won't see that. You'll argue it this way, I'll argue it that way. You show that to any jury or like that, and that's all you have to prove your side, and I have all this stuff over here to prove my side. I just don't think that has anything to do with it. It just comes down to opinion on that photographs.
What,
On those, I haven't seen any of them that show me that there was anybody up there.
what if I showed you the same shape behind the fence from another film?
You would have to explain to me how your shape behind the fence put the shells on the sixth floor. You would have to explain to me how they put the fibers in his jacket. You would have to explain to me how you see what I'm saying, Matt?
I can,
It,
I can, I'll,
there's a few things we may not know every little single thing about the case, okay? But we do
let's,
know
what if I
the
showed the exact same shape behind the fence from the Knicks film and it's moving? What if I showed you that?
I don't know, man. I don't see how any of this has anything to do with any of the physical evidence. There was no wounds on either one of them that says there was a shot fired from up there. So you're asking me to look at things that had nothing to do with it, and I know that because if there was even the slightest thing that said that there was a shot from the front, it would have come out. It would have come out in the autopsy, and it's all easily explained. The tracheotomy messed up the neck wound. We both know that.
Yep,
It
I got
Well,
that.
maybe you don't know that. You don't know that. Maybe not. I don't know. But it all that stuff is very easily explained, and none of it explains off. See, that's what a lot of CT guys do. They try to figure out one little thing and try to explain it a certain way. But what if we found this guy up here? Well, how does that guy put all this other evidence on it? How does it put everything over here together? And you look at the way you look at the autopsies and everything, or the autopsy, and it nothing came from the front. It all came from the rear. Even like I said, even when it didn't the HC the House committee say that as well?
It's
Didn't they say that they
what?
all came from the rear?
That all the
It,
shots came from the rear? No.
they said that one came from the front. Sorry, a bug flew on me.
Okay.
Um,
So what?
uh, uh, again, it gets back to where none of y'all even agree with each other. You just agree that something happened. We just don't know what, and we're not going to stop until we prove it. And y'all had 63 years to prove it, and nothing's ever come out, man. It just hasn't. So I stick with the physical evidence, and I keep
Well,
getting back to that.
but you haven't answered the question. What if I showed you the same shape in the Knicks film and it's in the same spot and it's moving?
I'll look at any evidence at all that comes up in this case because I study it. I'm a student of it, I'll look into anything at all. But immediately, as soon as I look at something, I will say, how does this explain off all this other stuff?
That's the
And
thing.
it can't do it.
It's in a,
It
it's in addition to it. I don't think you understand that. It's in addition to it. You're saying you're saying it's this. I'm saying it's this.
I don't believe I don't believe that any of those photographs or videos or anything shows a clear
You think it
video
was
that
one shooter?
someone was
I
up
think
there.
it was three shooters.
Right.
So if we both agree on like just this one, and then I talk about this one, and you say, well, how does that explain this over here? It's in addition to it. These two are in addition to it. So you're not really making.
I'm not saying that there was another shot fired. I don't think there was, but if there was that day, they didn't hit nobody. Nothing was ever known about it, and y'all have no evidence of it at all, just like I have no evidence of it all. There's just nothing there. What I do have is
It out.
physical things that I can pick up that were left by a guy that day that we know did it, man.
I
And you
explained,
have to explain those, and there's just no way to explain it off other than to dismiss it.
did explain it. I did.
No, you asked me about a photograph, a grainy photograph. What I'm saying is a grainy photograph that was taken, and that you think you see a guy back there, and I just don't see that. I looked at all of those. I've seen them all, and
Let me,
I've heard it all. It was a bottle of Coke. It was
that's
everything. I've heard all that,
that's something.
and the basic end of the story of those photographs from that from the grassy knoll or of the grassy knoll are all too grainy to
No,
make out any person there. I don't know if it's a shadow. I don't know if it's somebody from another part that's parked behind it, or if there was a bird there. I don't know.
You
Just
can
like you don't know. You're just trying to pick one little small thing and make that into
it must,
punching a hole in it.
must
And we're not in a murder trial here. We're not going on trying to get one little thing, but I'm just asking for any kind of exculpatory evidence, and there's nothing that says that all that stuff didn't belong to Oswald or was planted from him. All that stuff is real. I mean, it's where'd it come from? Who did it? How did it get there?
must have been a
Is
really big
it,
coincidence.
if you
So
have a conspiracy and the FBI planted it, how do you know that they did it? Where is it something you just feel and it has to be true, or do you really have something that says, "Hey, let's do this.
we're
Let's."
yeah, so we are talking about physical evidence. So if there was no one behind the fence during the shots, and it must have been just an amazing coincidence that in that exact spot, during the shooting, there was a puff of smoke, and dozens and dozens and dozens of witnesses said that there was a shot from that spot, and that the those footprints and cigarette butts and the mud was all found there, and that there's a shape there in a photograph in two films that's not there in later. I mean, I know I keep repeating myself, but it just must be an amazing coincidence that all this stuff just points to this one spot. It
It,
all
you know, it was an amazing coincidence that the president's motorcade came right by a guy that had the nuts to do it, and I mean the crazy to do it. That's a coincidence. There's a lot of coincidences that happen this day, man, and none of them explain off any of this stuff that we picked up that day.
want
None
to
of them
stress what I
None of them explain it off. It's a pretty obvious story once you start looking at all the pieces you can hold in your hands. You start looking at it, and it leads you down one way, and then it never strays from anyone else. If there was if
stuff.
there was anyone else, I would be all about finding it. But there's just at some point you have to throw the towel in, man, and realize you lost the battle and just give it up, or get trolled.
Okay, okay, so you're
Not you. I'm not saying you. I mean, I'm talking about everybody,
all right.
all the CT guys.
So you're not going to answer my question. So you're tapping out.
No, I'm saying that I don't think that any of that. I don't think that a photograph that from your opinion, shows a person. I don't think that it's. I don't. I wouldn't put that in as physical evidence to say Oswald didn't do it. I just wouldn't do that because I look at the same photograph and I don't see anybody. So I mean, I look at these and I still see glasses. Okay, I can't interpret something another way and say that that's not the way it is. I can't really do that, you know.
So okay, so you don't believe the ear witnesses or the or the smoke witnesses. Okay, so what other physical evidence do you believe? Okay, you said fibers. Do you want to talk about fibers?
Sure, that's in the National Archives. Any of it. I ask you pick any item you want in there and explain. This is how I know it's fake. This is how I know it's planted. This is how. That's what I'm asking for. Because like I told you before, man, I'm a construction guy, and if you give me a job, the first thing I do is I go into logistics mode. What do we need to get this done? And I'll start going through it, and you have to tell me who okayed it, who paid for it, who planted it, how did it get there, how did those fibers get wedged into the rifle, how did those fibers get inside of the jacket, you know. But you said that you think that Oswald shot him. You do, you did say that, so.
So in regards to that's actually an argument that a lot of people have that has been overlooked, is that the fibers from Oswald's shirt were supposedly caught in the rifle that's in the rifle. And so, so people can say, hey, that's proof that he held in his hand on that day the shirt he
One
was.
thing I'll one thing I'll give you, Matt, is I believe the FBI when they said that. Okay, think that they can't. Or maybe I'm not saying you, but the CT guys. don't believe anything they said. If they say anything, it must be a lie. Okay, well, I'm asking for any proof of that. And how you get all these people together and no one ever comes out later and says, hey, man, you know what? I took those fibers off of Oswald's shirt. I went over here and I did this, and here's surveillance of me doing it. There's nothing like that. There's nothing that says there's just no exculpatory evidence at all. You have to explain this stuff to me, and that's why I don't really argue about anything else. That's why you never hear me say, because there's a lot of you say there's a lot of witnesses that say this and that, and there's a whole lot of witnesses that says Oswald did it, and these are people that were connected and there that day and can prove it and were with him before and after, and I don't think that you should call Ms.
Well,
Clemens from there. I think you should call Ruth Payne, and I think you should call Maria, and I think you should call Robert Payne, and I think you should. I think that those are people that should be up on the stand here and tell them what they knew about Oswald, and that and all this other evidence that was already determined that an evidentiary hearing would have been propped up and said, hey, how the hell did your glasses get there that day?
okay,
You, you know,
so we talked about the okay, so what other physical evidence? Wait. So we're talking about the fibers, and a lot of
right,
people,
right, right, right. Sorry.
a lot of, and a lot of people don't know and it's right out of the Warren Commission volumes, and I'll put an image right here that Oswald's shirt fibers were caught in the rifle that is in the National Archives today, but
with
and
his
my
with
friend,
his
but
paper trail.
a
You
lot
see
of,
what I'm saying?
but what's very interesting, and I learned this from my friend Pat Spear. It's right in the testimony, and I mentioned this in my debate with Scott Mosley. Is that actually the fibers were found on top of the fingerprint powder, and that's right in the testimony. So if Oswald's shirt fibers had really been caught in the gun and was there, there that day, then it would be the opposite. It would be the gun, fiber, fingerprint pattern, but it's actually gun, fingerprint powder,
So
fiber.
what you're saying is you think somebody planted those on the rifle?
Yes, I think so.
Who? Who?
I don't know. I don't know.
Now,
But
when did they do it?
but
When did they do it?
that's one of the. I don't know.
When did they do it? Hold on a second. When did they do it?
I don't know. I don't.
Okay. So I've asked you two questions, and both of your answers were I don't know.
Yes,
Okay.
that's the most honest answer you can give.
Right. I'll say it too. I'll say it too. Believe me, you've heard me say it already. I don't know some of the things. Were
So
the were they found?
where was what found?
They were were the fibers found? They have some in there.
Fibers are in
Because
evidence today, but
if I'm in the magic world, if I'm a prosecutor, I'm going to tell the judge, I'm going to tell the jury that I found fibers matching Oswald's shirt on the rifle.
how
And
are the
what you're going to
fibers?
say is no, somebody in the FBI planted them. And I'm going to say, well, how do you know that? And you're going to say, I don't know.
Yes, that's the most
But
honest answer.
now, how did they get inside of the sleeve of his jacket? How did
We'll,
they get
we'll
into there?
we'll get there in a second. We're talking
Well,
about JFK fibers. Listen, so we have the rifle, fingerprint powder, and then the fiber on top of it. How?
I think that people that day, I'm in full agreement with you on some of these things. I think that day they came right in and
If,
started picking stuff up, and they did it the wrong way. They investigated it the wrong way. I'll give you that. I think that they picked those shells up. I mean, I kind of believe that. We really don't know, but it seems to make sense that they picked them up and then just threw them back down. I get that kind of stuff, and I'm not saying in no way I'm saying that that didn't happen. Um, I don't know, but it doesn't change the fact that sloppy police work, it didn't start that day and it didn't end that day, but it doesn't change the fact that they were actually found and they're still in there.
found
if
or
if
put there, found or put there. I mean,
if you if you have any evidence of those fibers other than the feeling, I would like to know how you know that the fibers found on the rifle were planted. I would like to know that,
Well, do
and
you
you
see how
seriously don't
you're?
know. And
Do you see the symbol here for the word found? It's not really found. What we have in evidence today are Oswald's fibers that were caught in the gun. But if you read the testimony, it is r- the rifle, fingerprint powder on top of the rifle, and then on top of the fingerprint powder is the fiber. But it would that how
wait, say that again. I'm
that
sorry. Say that again.
rifle
Say that again. The levels.
rifle rifle
Okay.
fingerprint powder fiber. That means
Okay.
planted. If it wasn't planted, it would be rifle, fiber, then fingerprint powder.
I don't agree with that, man. There's a lot of stuff we're just going to not agree with, and I don't think that
How does that not mean planted?
it doesn't mean planted. They were found there. They were found on that rifle, but they were also found in the sleeve of his jacket, the other one. So that's a hell of a coincidence, man, to find to just find another coat that his wife
We'll get
said
there.
yes, that was his, and then and I think, but I know I have to jump around though. I get that because I think that it's weird that oh they were found over here and they were found over there. So we're just gonna say that someone planted it and that's it, and there's no evidence of that.
Yeah, I just told you. I just
I
told
don't think that's not going to sway the to make me think okay those are planted.
I
I'm
just
sorry, but it's not. I'd have to see that, and I'll have to do some I have to look into it and see.
right out of the gate, right out of the Warren Commission volumes, right in the testimony.
Yeah, I'd have to see it, and I don't think that it doesn't write them. It doesn't say that they're not there. They're still found there, and you still have you can't tell me who did it or
See this?
how you did it or how you know or anything like that. No one inside. All these people in the FBI that I mean, if you look back and say and show everybody that would have to have been involved in this to plan all this evidence, you'd have a whole gymnasium full of people and you know that and the people just think that it's like that and let's just forget about all this stuff and everything found and it just don't work that way, man.
Okay,
It everything has to be, you got to explain it, and to me
I'm a test.
where you think the powder was and all that doesn't change anything about how
Here it
it
was. It
doesn't explain off
was
anything.
fiber. That's planted. If it was not planted, it would be gun, fiber, fingerprint. Okay, okay. So, but do you
I say it was the other way around. Okay, I say it was. I don't. I'm not gonna
the testimony?
concede anything or anything like that. I'm not saying that any
Told
of
you
that.
what the testimony was: rifle, powder, fiber. That's planted. If it was
I
not
don't see
planted,
it like that, Matt.
the fiber would be here, and the fingerprint pattern would be on top. That means it was planted.
How did the ones get planted inside of his coat?
We'll get there in a second, dude. Hold on. We'll get there in a second. But do you see how you're smuggling by saying, "Oh, it was found there. It was found there. It was found there." Well, it's not found there. It's what's in evidence today. It's not. It's
No, I don't. I don't say that. I don't agree with that. I'm saying that the
today.
evidence was collected. I'm saying that the rifle had his fibers from his shirt on it. I'm saying that the rifle had his prints on it. I'm
Hey,
saying that the rifle had a paper trail.
hey,
I'm
dude.
saying that the rifle was his, and it was it was his. I mean, I'm saying that the gun was his and he fired it and all this stuff lines up. I mean, you want to focus on one little bitty thing and think that that somehow addresses all this other stuff, but we don't have to explain all that because this is the one thing that I say right here, and you got to give me more than that, Matt. I don't think that fibers on there like what you're saying is conspiracy. I'm not saying that it was like that. I'm not saying that it you didn't find one person that investigated it that didn't that made a mistake or something. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that none of that explains off all the other stuff. None of that explains off why those same fibers were found inside of his coat. I mean, things like that happens in real life, and that's how murders are investigated today. They you have to explain that kind of crap, and I don't think you've given me an explanation as to why those fibers, why you say that they were like that. I mean, is that all you have? Is I mean, that's not
I can,
explaining why they were there.
no, I
I
can.
mean,
No, I can go all day.
Yeah, I got a feeling we're gonna this gonna keep going, but that's all right, man. It's fun.
So, did Oswald leave fingerprints on that rifle?
Yes,
Why do you think that?
I think because they were found on it, and um, yeah, they were found on it.
What if I could show you evidence from that weekend that Oswald's rifle had no prints on it? What if I could show
What
you?
do you have? What do you got?
So, in the 26 volumes, we have an FBI report signed by J. Edgar Hoover that says, quote, the Dallas police and the FBI both failed to produce prints of sufficient legibility for comparison purposes, and, quote, no latent prints of value were developed on Oswald's revolver, the cartridge cases, the unfired cartridge, the clip in the rifle, or the inner parts of the rifle, end quote. So they're admitting, the FBI is admitting the day after the assassination, they have no fingerprints on either weapon Oswald allegedly used. Shouldn't Oswald have been released immediately from jail?
No, no, no. They knew he did it, man. It none of this stuff at all changes any of the things of what I'm saying. Okay, the prints were on the rifle. You won't explain to me how those prints got on there. You won't explain to me. You'll just say, oh, they went and found him in the morgue and did it like that. Well, that's not how fingerprints work. The prints were on the rifle. They were lifted off the rifle. They,
I just read you the thing that says that there are no prints on the rifle.
how did they get on the rifle then?
How did they get on there? I just read you that there's nothing that there's no prints on the rifle.
So you're saying that absolutely no prints were ever taken off the rifle at all? Is
Yes.
that what you, I disagree with that. They were
Was
found. And what most people, and even half, again, we get back to the, y'all don't agree on everything. Half of y'all will say that they took the rifle in the morgue and did it. But you won't say who.
I
You
think
won't say who gave the order.
I
What?
think I think what you're probably talking about is the palm print that was later found. I think that's what you're later found. I think that's what you're talking about. I'm talking about originally. There's nothing.
How did it get on there?
Take back. I take that back because in let's see, in there were two fingerprints found on the trigger guard, and the Warner report said on page 566, quote, they were insufficient for purposes of affecting an identification. So
When was that said?
it says the Warner report claimed that the rifle, quote, was examined by Lieutenant J.C. Day of the Identification Bureau of the Dallas Police. He applied fingerprint powder to the side of the metal housing near the trigger and noticed traces of two prints. That's Warner report page 122 and 123. And
The guy in Dallas, is that in Dallas or the once it got
then you have to, and then like 400 pages later in the Warner report, it eventually tells you what the results were. And it says, quote, the front ridge formations were insufficient for purposes of affecting an identification. Right out of the Warner report.
Man, you explain things the way that helps you figure it out. I explain things the way I see them, and they're just in front of me. And I'm not trying to make any of it up. I'm not. I don't have an agenda here to solve anything. It was already solved, man. I'm saying that his prints were found on the rifle. It was his rifle.
I just
They
read
were found in there. Uh, What's that?
I just read to you that that the prints on the trigger guard were too smudged to be for any identification. I
I don't say that, man.
just
Oh
read.
wait, I mean, but they were found other places on the rifle. I'm not saying that they weren't. And a lot of times you have to have. I mean, not all the time. I'm not. Some of the times you have to have so many certain points of identification before you can actually make a positive ID. And and I understand there has to be like that, but there could be like 10 of them, and y'all will say, "Oh, well, he didn't have enough because he didn't meet the 16 quota," and that's how y'all look at it. So then you'll just dismiss it,
So
and
I think what you're trying to say is that later on a palm print emerged. I think I think that's what you're
I
trying.
don't think they didn't find it that day. Yeah, later on, a palm print emerged. Yes,
Yeah,
but and okay, and I know where you're going to go with this next. You're going to say, "Oh, why they didn't find it earlier?" Well, how
yes.
do you know that they printed it? How where did they get it? How did they do it? You really think they went in the morgue and took his dead hand and put it on there?
What did the mortician say?
Tell me what the mortician said.
Tell me what he said.
I'm asking you to tell me what he said.
Said the
What did he say?
agents came to Oswald's dead body in the funeral home, and they took fingerprints from him. So
So you're saying they took the card and put that on the rifle?
no, the well, first of all, the palm print that is in evidence now, it's just a blob. I mean, I can put it right here up on the screen. You can't even make out anything in that, and no one's ever like
I bet you can make it out better than you can a grassy knoll shooter in those photographs.
it's no. The grassy no shooter is clear. The palm
No,
print,
it ain't, man. A fingerprint's clear. Palm print's clear.
and like that's in the National Archives, and no one's ever like rescanned it or like done like high definition scans of it to like double check it. And there were also photos of the rifle being examined by the FBI lab for fingerprints that night, which they found none. And like those have never been released. And so all we have is this blob of a palm print, and it didn't come up until later.
Didn't you say that it was that Oswald shot the rifle?
No, I said
No,
that.
oh, sorry. Didn't you say it was his rifle? I mean, didn't you say that? I forgot where we were on that.
Yes,
Okay, why would his prints not be on it?
was his prints were not on it on that day. That's what I'm saying.
Why is it so hard to fathom that this rifle had prints on it and you say he owned it? You say what? I
Oh,
forgot what you said about that. Did you say he was a shooter? He was part of it. He just wasn't alone, right?
I don't think he was a shooter. No.
You just think he brought in the rifle that day, or he was a complete patsy,
Well, what do you
like
mean?
he said.
I don't think he was just some innocent guy up the street. I think he's entangled in some sort of conspiracy that was turned around to make it look like he did it, and then he was railroaded. But you know,
When did Oswald realize that? When did he figure out he was being railroaded?
probably when they arrested him.
Why didn't he say something?
What do you
Could
mean?
have been that it could have been that he was trying to keep the secret and try to work it out then. It also could have been that he didn't have no fucking do or had anything to do with it and he was the shooter. I mean, it could have. I mean, it could have been any of it. I say that they were on there, man. I mean, I don't think it's a far
I just
that
read you
far
how
to
they.
say.
I just read you how there weren't. There was a palm print that appeared later, as I keep saying, as I
And I
said.
think that palm print's real. I think it is real. Otherwise, you're going to have to explain to me how they lifted that palm print and put it. They lifted it and put it on that rifle.
I think they
How
put
did they do it?
put it on the rifle when he was dead, and then they just lifted that from the rifle, just like any other print, because on the lift you see like ridges that match the Carcano, so it was lifted from the Carcano. But oh my gosh, we have agents that went and visited and took fingerprints of Oswald while he was on his dead body. So you gotta put those things together, and then suddenly
Can I ask you, how does that put
and then
those prints
suddenly
on? I don't understand what you're saying.
and then suddenly a palm print shows up. I mean, suddenly a palm print shows up. I mean, it's totally sus. It's totally suspect.
Prints don't work that way. They can't put prints on things that it doesn't work like that. It just doesn't. You're saying that, but then I'll ask you who and how and when, and you'll say again, I don't know because you don't know. It's just something. It's speculation that it sounds good,
Oh,
and you try to poke as many holes into this case as possible because you're only working to prove a conspiracy. You don't really want to know what happened. You just want to prove a conspiracy. Maybe you are totally convinced that it happened and a conspiracy did, and you want to try to prove it, but that doesn't do anything. You still have to have some kind of evidence. And there's no evidence, man. There's just, I mean, there's no one to say that they went in there, and there's nothing to say that they went in there and were able to lift this dead man's prints off of his hands and then plant them on a rifle.
the
You
more time
just can't do that. It
they,
doesn't work that way, man. And he owned the rifle. He bought it. We have the paper trail for it. The prints were his. They were lifted off of it. I
the
mean, none of this would. There might be one little thing in there that you can't explain or something that would even give enough exculpatory evidence. But there's just not even that one little thing.
let me see.
I'm
If that palm print had been lifted that day and was in evidence that day, I would probably maybe grant that he might have been a shooter, but that's not what we have. We have no prints originally, and then after he's dead, oh hey, by the way, we have a palm print that would no, that's bullshit. No,
I'm saying it is. It all fits in the story, Matt. It all fits together, all part of it. Why did he leave early without permission? He was a political junkie. Why would he leave? Because he just
oh,
killed somebody.
I can
Not
answer
only that, he
that.
just
So
killed one of the biggest man in the world. So he wanted out of there. He
yeah,
left immediately.
he
Everything that he did from that time that he left the building was a guy being on the run. The reason why I asked you if you watched the first 48, because you see this time and time again, guys running from cops, and they're in the heat of the moment, and things happen, and all of a sudden another cop walks up to him and doesn't put enough caution out, and all of a sudden that guy pulls out a pistol and kills him. You
what?
see it time and time again daily, and it's just there's no difference that happened back then.
So what do
Oswald left work early with no permission. He left a trail of evidence all the way down. He was able to get away, and he was caught hiding in a theater. Why would he have left work to go see a movie? Why would he have done it? He
you
was hiding is what he was doing. He was in a desperate flight trying to get away, and everything says that, man. And
that's
I
just a
don't think I don't think you arguing about prints on a rifle is going to erase the other part. So that part of it being on the rifle works in with my story and what everything that happened. And you still have to get rid of that before you can. I mean, you can't get rid of everything. You can just poke little holes in it, but that doesn't explain off why his prints were. I say they were on the rifle. They were found on the rifle,
I just told you
and
it worked.
but I don't think I'm not saying that you can go. I'm not agreeing that you can walk into a morgue and take a dead man's hand and do that. And you have to give me some logistics. You're going to say who did it then?
That's
Who? That's beside the point. We don't know who did it. Who? How did they do it? I mean, is it that they?
yeah,
I'm
but
not saying that someone didn't go in there and fingerprint him. I'm saying you can't get that his print onto a rifle in a natural position that he would have. I'm not saying that. You have to give me more than that, man. That's not enough for me, man. I need you to explain off every piece of physical evidence and start to show where because it's a mountain. Like I said, it's a mountain.
it's not there. And then agents go visit his dead body in the morgue, and then suddenly we have a palm print that how is this not blatantly obvious?
It's not blatantly obvious because you can't do that. It doesn't work that way.
Okay.
Prints aren't picked up that way. I don't think they are, man. You think they are? I think they're not. I mean, there's an easy way to prove this.
No,
Do
no,
some more research on how prints are lifted, and
you're
and
granting that
then come back and tell me.
not how they're done. How can you demonstrate that that's not how it's usually done, or that it can't work that way? The way
You don't even have them carry. Some guys will tell you that they carried the rifle into the morgue and did it. So you're saying they put it on a card and then transferred the card to the rifle.
no, 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 I think that
Okay, I misunderstood you.
they put, and this was shown in the Oliver Stone film. I think that I think they got the inner part of the rifle, not the full rifle. They put it this palm print on there, and then they take it back, and then they lift the print from the rifle, and we
You
from
know why you believe that?
it's there
Because
because the ridges, the ridges on the rifle are
you really want to believe that Bigfoot's running around the woods. That's not how you have to carry a piece of evidence like that and leave and go and walk into a morgue and think about again my logistics.
you
I get back to
mentioned
that.
Van
That's none of that's going to happen, man.
blood around his. You
That's
mentioned
movie stuff.
you mentioned O.J. Simpson. Officer Van Adder was carrying around O.J.'s blood, and was he the one carrying around his shoes and his he took all that stuff home with him? What do you this stuff happen?
No, he didn't take it home with him. He had it in the car with him, and he should have went and we
Yeah,
immediately
yeah.
went and checked
So
it
so they take
into there.
this not the full rifle, but they take that part of the rifle. They just and then they lift it. What's that's and we know they went in there and took prints from him because then that's what the mortician said. And there's
They
no
went in there and took prints of it, or they went in there with a rifle. There's a big difference in that. They snuck it out of the Dallas jail and took it over
it was
to the
just
jail or to the morgue. And I'm not buying that, man. I'm not buying that.
it would
I'm not saying that they didn't do that.
have been the it would not have been the full 40-inch rifle. It would have been that small part that they showed in the JFK movie. It's like, that big, and I just take it off him.
I need to take apart one of my rifles, and dude, I've been thinking about doing that. I was going to make a an exact copy of that bag and put it in there and see if I can figure. There's a few things that I still, like I said, I shouldn't even went that far with you on that, but there's a few things in there that I do have some questions about myself. But then I go straight back to, well, but how did all this happen? I mean, we just because we can't figure out one little small part of it doesn't mean that these weren't left here. They're still here, and I still have to explain them. So once you get on to where the physical evidence leads you, all this other stuff is all you start to look and it's all he said, she said, and it's all speculation. There's nothing there, man. There's not one single piece. It's just people's opinions. It's just people wanting to
You're right.
come out and try to prove this and to try to prove something that's been going on for 63 years that they're going to be the one that solves it. Well, you're not, man, because if you would have, you would have already done it years ago. But we did do it. We did it that exact day. And we didn't, none of that stuff, none of the, how do you know? I mean, where did this even come from? How do you know where they went in and did that? I don't even, and then you think that I'm supposed to overlook all this other stuff because
We're going through the other
of
stuff.
testimony or one person thinks that's what it is. And it's just, that doesn't do that for me, man. The prints were on the rifle because he put them on there. That's why they were on the rifle. And I've always thought it was kind of suspect that they didn't find them in more places, but I don't know. Did he wipe it down? I don't know. Did he forget that place? Why was it? I don't know, man. I mean, I don't know. It gets back to the same. There's a lot of I don't knows in there, but none of them explain off that it was his rifle, that it was found at work. Why did he go home the night before to get it? Why did he do this? Why did he do that? It just keeps going and going and going and going and going and going and going. And I don't even bring up weird stuff that he did that could be, I don't talk about his wedding ring or him leaving his money or anything like that. I don't think about stuff like that.
Okay,
You
so
know, that stuff it doesn't explain off the physical evidence. I
just
know people are getting tired of hearing me say that, but it
uh,
still just doesn't do it, man. Not to me.
we talked about the prints, the fibers, the gun. We talked to you mentioned you think you don't say that he was the only one who left the building or who you don't say that, do you?
I've heard that both ways, and I've always known him to be the only employee to leave. But here's the one thing that I'll say: if there's someone else that I wasn't aware of or whatever, he left early without permission and didn't clock out, didn't have any, just left, and didn't have permission. Why did he do it? I believe what he told the cops. Oh, I just didn't think there was any more work that day, so I just went home that day. Come on, dude. Seriously? but that's just my opinion on that. I mean, I know if my cousin's in trouble with a crime and the cops are asking him, why'd you leave early that day? And I'm gonna defend him. And then when we get around each other later, I'm gonna go, hey man, why'd you leave work early? That looks pretty damn guilty. Why would you do that? Why did he do it? He
He
just
explained,
needed to go see War is Hell that bad. He just had to get there and go do it. No, it didn't happen that way, man.
he explained why he left. Why he left. Why
He
he
said
left.
that there was no more work that day and then he decided to leave because he didn't think there was any more work to do.
You just answered your own question.
But within minutes of no, I didn't answer my own question. Not what that was. You
Why
just
did he leave?
interpreted it. You interpreted it the way you wanted to say it, and that's the way you took it, man. But that's not what it was.
You answered your own question.
No, man. What I was, I mean, why did he leave, man? He was a political junkie.
Know that.
We both know that.
Well,
He was a
okay.
political leftist crazy junkie, and I don't mean heroin addict. I mean
I told you
political.
why I told you that he's not some, completely innocent guy off the street. Remember I told you that?
Yeah,
He's
I
entangled.
just there's I don't think that there's anything else that says anything other than he did it alone. I'm just saying that there's nothing else that says it. I keep asking you, but we keep getting back to the same thing, and it's just there's nothing there, Matt. There's nothing that says
Are
that
you
any of this evidence was planted or faked.
so
None
going
of it.
so going back to him being, he left the building, you know, I think that thing has evolved. At first, it was like, oh, he was the only worker missing from the building. And it's like, no, if you look in the Warren Commission volumes, it shows that, 17 people were never in the building after 12:30. And then they're like, well, he was the only warehouseman worker missing. And it's like, no, that's not true either.
Are you saying they didn't gather
Oh,
everybody up, all the workers up after the shots and figured out everybody was there?
just a second. And it's like, so then they change it and say, well, Oswald was the only warehouseman worker. And say, but he was actually, that's not true either because Charles Gibbons was also missing. So it's like,
Where did he go?
where did he go?
Charles Gibbons did it now? Was
No,
he part of it?
no, I'm saying that, no, I'm
You're trying to poke holes in the story, but that's not true. None of this is true.
debunking.
They got everybody together afterwards. Everybody was accounted for. And then I don't know for a fact. I'm just saying if maybe they left after that. I don't know. But they were but they were accounted for right after the shooting. And
Everyone,
Oswald was the only one missing. That's where that comes from. The way you describe it is no, there was 17 people now. But those 17 people could have left later, and you would still describe it as leaving right afterwards. Why did he leave within 2 minutes of it happening? Why did he leave right then? Why did he leave and didn't ask Truly for permission to leave work that day? Why didn't he do it? He just said screw his job, or was Roy? I know you probably think Truly's part of it because that's everybody thinks
said
that
that.
everyone's in it. I know, and I didn't mean that's putting words in your mouth, but he I get that a lot. I get that a lot, and I put y'all all in the same category. It's my side versus y'all. It's just the way we look at it, man. And I don't see things that way. He left work early without permission. He left work right away without permission, and he wasn't seen again until he popped up uh,
17.
across the city doing his escape.
Do you know how many people were not in the building after 12:30? Besides
No, no.
17 people were not in the
You're
building.
saying that 17 people came up missing after the shooting and just left and were never accounted for after the shooting. That's
17,
what you're saying?
17 employees were not in the building after 12:30. Seven.
But what I'm asking, because I want to make this clear, where did those 17 people just left without permission right after the shooting? Is
were,
that what you're saying?
were either
And I want to see the 17 people, and I want you to tell me what time or when they left and how you know when they left. And then I want you to say, is that what you're saying though? Is that they all left without permission
they,
right after the shooting? I want to be clear on that.
they left, they left and or they were locked out and couldn't get back in.
Oh yeah, they locked down the building immediately, for sure. So what you're trying to say is, and this is gets back to the way I'm saying the way y'all explain it. What you're trying to put out there is that these 17 people just came up missing. When what really happened was is they didn't get back in the building before it was locked down and they were outside. Now they're gone but they're standing there answering questions and they weren't trying to hide and their whereabouts were known and all that. So that's
Oh,
why you get all those photographs of everybody out there like that. That's what you're trying to say. And you see what you're how that y'all do it. You're trying to make it sound a different way. That's not what happened, Matt. He was the only employee that came up missing after the shooting, the one that was unaccounted for, that no one that he didn't have permission to leave.
what about Charles
And if
Gibbons
somebody
missing?
is there somebody else that I don't know about? I'm asking you. Tell me if I'm mistaken about this.
What about Charles Gibbons?
And what were those people doing?
What about Charles Gibbons? He wasn't accounted for.
I don't know.
He
He
was
was there. So you're saying that Charles Givens did it? He
N-
was part of the conspiracy.
no, I'm just saying it's
You're
not.
trying to poke holes in a story, is what you're trying to do. You're trying to say, oh, he didn't make it back in the building. And then I find out that what you're really talking about is that they locked the building down and no, they wouldn't let nobody else in there because they were worried about evidence because it was pretty obvious where those shots came from.
Some people,
So what I'm saying, you know what I mean. So don't try to
some
don't construe it around, Matt. Go with it, man. He left. It's
people,
okay. Come over to the lone nutter side, man. You'll feel better.
some
I'm
people,
telling you, it's the lights over here. It's not all dark, man. See around me. Come over here, dude. It's a lot better.
some people were locked out, and some people left.
Are those part of your 17, the ones that were locked out?
It's a
I'm
culmination.
saying that they gathered everybody up after the shooting and accounted everybody, and Oswald was the only one missing. I'm not saying that some of them didn't leave because I don't know that. I'd have to look
Oh,
into it more
no,
before I can see
no,
that to you.
no. They Roy truly did a head count of his warehouse men, and Oswald and Givens were both missing.
Where was Givens? What is that important? What part of that? I'm saying, do you think that Givens did it? And
No,
then where's the proof that he had anything to do with it? That's
inside.
not what it is. He may not have made it back in. He may have. I don't know what he did. I don't know. I'd have to look into that before I'll say anything on that. I don't know. I'd have to look into it. But I'm telling you that all of them were accounted for, and then I don't know when they were released. But the only one that wasn't accounted for was Oswald. He was missing.
I
And just because if you're able to show that one didn't go back in the building, that doesn't prove that Oswald wasn't missing. He was missing without permission to leave work early.
so what?
So what do you mean, so what?
So what? He explained why he left.
That's a pretty damn lame excuse, dude. Come on.
He
You
said,
can't just do that. Oh, I just thought there was no more work. So 2 minutes after the shooting, I decided to go and go hop on a cab and then I or in a
he's
cab or
working.
a bus and then I decided to get in a cab and then I decided to go see a movie and then I ran into this cop and no, man, come on, it all fits together. It's a very easy story.
You
It
think
all fits everything.
like usual after the assassination? Okay, let's just go back to work. Do you think that's how it's going to go? No.
Do you think that you should leave work early after the president gets killed? Do you think that you should just leave? You're not telling me that. Like, screw this. I'm going home. That
Yeah,
president got shot right outside my building. I'm just going to go ahead and leave and go see a movie.
yeah, that's
And
what
I'm not buying it, man. I'm not buying it. You're
okay.
looking at one little piece of what you consider evidence, but it's really just your opinion and just like everything else. And but you're not addressing the questions that any jury or any person would want to know. They're going to look at Roy Truly and go, "Did you give him permission to leave work?" And Roy Truly's going to go, "No, I didn't."
Who
Well,
cares?
what if Roy Truly, the day he would have hired him, what if he would have sent him over to the other building instead of having him at that building? He needed one for two locations. What if he would have, that innocent little decision changed history right there? He could have sent him to the other building and it never would have happened. You know why? Because Oswald didn't have access to that building. The motorcade wouldn't have came by that building and he wouldn't have shot him.
So
And
do
then
you,
history would be different. This is just all coincidence. Women having coffee in the morning is how he got his job there. I believe that. I don't think that all those women, I don't think those women were CIA agents that made that story up. I think he got his job there because women having coffee in the morning. My loser husband ain't got a job. I hate him. I can't, why can't he get a job? And then another one going, well, my little brother just got a job at this building. Why don't we try to do that? And then Roy truly makes an innocent decision, and all of a sudden it changes history. That's how real life happens. People don't go into morgues and plant um, fingerprints and do all this crazy stuff you're talking about. You're giving me no logistics at all. You're not telling me who did it. You're not telling me how you know it. All you're telling me is that you really, truly, truly believe Bigfoot's running around the woods. That's all you're saying. You're not giving me anything, Matt. You got to give me something else, man. It's just, to
Well,
me, everything that you have that you've brought up is just your opinion and questionable to your opinion. That's it. None of it is.
political.
You can't prove any of it. It's none of it's none of it. You can't hold any of it.
As researcher Leno Sanik once said, I'm doing political research. I'm not in search of Bigfoot.
I put it the same thing, man. I think it's a very good way to show people how crazy this is. I mean, how nuts it is to actually believe there's a conspiracy in the JFK assassination. There's three types of conspiracy guys, okay? And this is, I never read this. This is completely from me. There's three types. First is the ignorant. And I don't mean that in a derogatory way. I mean that in you're just ignorant of the facts and you don't know what really happened that day. Then there's the guy that wants to sell you something, a book, a lecture, a tour, all that stuff. They want to sell you something. So they have a financial interest in keeping this going. Okay. So they'll believe anything. And the third is the tin hat wearing idiots. They are the ones that, again, the earth is flat. Bigfoot's running around the woods. We never went to the moon landing was filmed in a Hollywood studio. And it's just there's no proof of any of it.
I think what you described is a false dilemma that those are all the only three options. There's more options than that. There's more options than that.
Oh
But
man, there's a million of any big historical event becomes a conspiracy. Anything,
you think
anything at all. Doesn't matter how big it is. It's the same. Everything. There's something else that's going on, and nobody can accept what really happened. And um,
you said
you know what? I would say the only conspiracy that I'll ever entertain at all, and I don't want to really say that there was a conspiracy, but there's some pretty weird things that happened that I would like answers for, and that was the Martin Luther King assassination. There was some things in there that I'm like, man, I don't know, that looks real bad. But then there's things on the Kennedy case that look real bad.
what about
But
Abraham Lincoln? That was a conspiracy.
absolutely, it was. Absolutely, it was by definition, and it was. I don't think it went any further than what it did. I think an innocent woman got hanged from just letting someone use her house. She didn't have anything to do with that, and died because of her the people that were coming to her place. I don't think she had anything to do with it.
Well,
Women back then, they wouldn't have involved her in that anyway. Women were looked at differently in the 1860s than they are today.
that's a whole other conversation
Yeah,
about
it is.
Mary
But
Shelley.
yeah, that's
But
the only one that, and I don't believe that many of them happened, but that one's obvious. I mean, it's obvious. You had Stewart stabbed across town. You had Lincoln shot over here. It's obvious that once you those two were together, and then they were able to prove that they met there. I mean, that was definitely a conspiracy, 1,000%. And
so,
people still argue about that.
so you said you believe Oswald was on the run after the assassination.
I believe he was in desperate flight on the run from law enforcement.
Really?
He knew they were closing in. He knew that they were going to come
Oh,
get him at any second. That's why he wasn't at his rooming house for very long. He walked in just long enough to grab his stuff and leave. That's why he was. And I know you don't like that, but that's what I say. And I think that him ducking in and out. I believe
of the shoe store.
uh, Schuster. Yeah, I was trying to think of his name. I believe that because I don't think I think that man was he was directly involved. He got thrown against the wall thinking that he was Oswald. I mean, he was involved in it. So they're going to ask him where he was and what he was doing.
Uh,
I don't think that he made that up. That sounds like something that to me is believable. But it doesn't take the pistol out of Oswald's hand. It doesn't take the shells away from the Tippit scene. It doesn't take away
Talk about
Here's one part that I truly go after with the witnesses, man. When you got 15 people that's a witness, and I know only 11 of them were able to identify him. That's a big deal. You put yourself witnessing a man being murdered right in front of you, especially a police officer. You're gonna look at things. You're gonna see different things. That's why you get so many things in a testimony. You get so many people that didn't agree. But that doesn't change the fact that it happened, and that doesn't change it doesn't answer any questions. All it shows is that in dire craziness happening and popping off like that, that you can see things a different way than the person standing next to you, and we see it every day. And every single murder case there's going to be somebody that said he wore a black jacket, and there's going to be somebody that said he wore a light jacket. That's the way it's going to come out, and none of that is going to explain off why there was a coat identified by his wife with his fibers on the shirt under the car along his
about that.
escape route.
Okay, so you, so you said that you believe that Oswald was on the run after the assassination. Is that correct?
Yes,
Why would he hop on a bus that's taking him back towards Dealey Plaza?
I don't know.
Hmm.
I don't know. How do we know that he knew that it was going that direction and not going to turn off on um there's a street before it.
A one-way street. It's a one-way street.
I know, but there's turns before you get to Dealey Plaza. I can't think of I don't know the names of the streets. I haven't been over. I don't know them right there before. He doesn't. What my point is he didn't know, and even if he did know, he's not 100% sure. So I don't know, and I'll give you that. I don't know. Why did he get on the bus?
Okay.
Why did he get off the bus? 4 minutes later, after paying it, he was a notorious cheapskate. Everyone likes to say that he was only he was only I only had 100 and something. That was 3 weeks of pay he got that he had in his pocket
Yeah.
that he left the marina. That was 3 weeks of pay. How many people can walk around with three paychecks in their pocket? Now, I mean, it's yes, it was a smaller amount because that's inflation in the '60s. But how many people can do that? He
Hold on. Why did he offer his cab to a little old lady if he's supposedly on the run?
Man, I don't know other than I'll tell you what I know that what my opinion of this is, and this is purely me speculating. In the '60s, grown men looked at women a whole lot differently and treated them back then differently. And had he have done that, that would I think that I just that's my only thing I can say. I don't know, but he ended up getting in the cab, didn't he?
Yeah, but he offered it. He offered it to the old lady. Why would he? Why is he doing chivalry when he's supposed to be getting the hell out of there? I mean, if you look at the shooter, was it?
Don't know. But the more important question is to me is why did he leave without permission? I
If you
don't know why he did what he was saying, and that's my answer to that. I don't know.
look at
I
the
believe I believe that it was from the way that men treated women back then. Call me sexist or whatever. I don't care. That's just the way I feel about it. That's the way I look at it.
never heard that line of
Yeah.
reasoning before in regards.
I used to work at a place called Old City Park in Dallas, and it's another museum down there. Now it's called Dallas Heritage Village, and it was a living history museum. And when the sixth floor museum opened, well, after the remodel, we got to go tour it before it opened up. They invited us over, and we went over there and got to check it out. And uh, I used to work there at that museum, and we were big on the way that people acted at certain time periods. And to me, I don't think that I think that me sitting here saying that I think that guys the whole chivalry thing like what you're saying that's not gonna that's just my opinion and that's not gonna explain off everything else, man. It we still have to get back to that physical evidence. We still got to get back to these. We can't.
Well, him being on the bus and the cab and all that's
I
physical.
think he got on the bus. He spent 4 minutes on there. That's what y'all say. I'll just agree with it. I'm not saying I'm not arguing any of that.
Yep,
He
going
because
home.
I think there's too many variables about him being on that bus. Why did he get on the bus and then why did he get off? Because he became stuck in traffic. And then all of a sudden this notorious cheapskate gets in a cab and wants to go to his house. I mean, I don't see that as you see it as just an innocent thing where I'm still wondering why in the hell he left to begin with. Why
Tangled.
he didn't check in with the cops and say, "Hey, do y'all need anything from me, man? Because the most powerful man in the world just got killed outside. Do y'all need, because to me, I'm not doing that. I'm not leaving unless I'm got permission, especially from work. Why did he just quit? Did he do that every day? When he decided, oh, there's no more work to be done, did he just leave? No, man, he that's not what happened. That was a lame ass excuse that he got asked a question that was hard to answer, and I believe he answered that. But to be honest with you, I don't argue what the cops said with y'all, because none of y'all think that everything they said was planted and everything's not true. And I just don't believe that. I think that it was all, I believe a lot of this, most of the stuff they said. I think they got some things wrong, but I'm not going to, there's some things that if I were y'all, I would be using against guys like me, but I'm not going to give you any ammo. You're going to have to come up with your own. But there's a few things that I'm like, damn, I wish that wouldn't have happened, or I wish I had an answer for that, but I don't. So there's a lot of things that I'm going to say I don't know, but at the same time, none of that's going to get rid of my mountain that's still behind me, that hasn't crumbled, dude. It's still it's a huge peak, man. It's like Everest. It's Everest big.
More like an avalanche or a
An
mudslide.
avalanche of evidence coming down on Oswald. I'll agree with that.
More like a
Is that
mudslide.
what you meant?
What's it called? A mudslide or a where it's coming down? What's it called? A mudslide?
Uh, avalanche.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So, did we cover almost all of your points of your mountain of evidence, or do you have more?
No, I'd say anything in there, any of it that's in the archives is what I say. There's stuff. You can pick any of it and
Well, you
ask them.
mentioned
Do you have a smoking gun that says, "Hey, this evidence shows that Oswald was innocent"? Do you got anything like that? Let me know, man. I want to hear it. I'm open for it. Give me your best shot. I always ask people, the first thing I do when I start to talk to a normal person about this case is I say, give me your smoking gun. What's your one piece of evidence that I can't argue with? What's your best shot you got? And I don't, I mean, what do you got? I'm open.
of
I'm
a
ready.
so you're more of a maximal data guy. Maximal,
Well,
because most people boil it down to like this piece, like focus on this piece, and this piece, but you're more focused on the overall, like all the evidence all together, right?
yes, that shows a story of what happened, and it shows a timeline and a story, and it goes all down to the Texas theater and at his arrest, and it goes all from there. To y'all, you just say, "Oh, guiding hands helped him go." Well, man, how do you know that? It's another feeling that you have that this hairy man's got to be out there running around the woods. You just know it in your bones that that's how it has to be, and that's all it takes to make y'all's decision on it. You never offer any evidence. You never offer anything other than what ifs or maybes or this had to happen.
Do you ever go into like the autopsy x-rays or the medical evidence or no?
No, man, because look, I'm it, it it's so boring. And
You're,
to me,
so you're
if
all
you
about
look at,
the physical evidence.
yes, that stuff to me
Okay,
is,
let's
if
talk
when I
about.
look into that,
How about we talk about the jacket and the fibers, and then we wrap it up.
absolutely. More fibers. Man, you got a whole lot of you're gonna need some dynamite and a crew to get this mountain broke down, dude. You need some help here, Matt. You ain't doing too good.
Today?
No, man, I'm just saying, dude, that stuff has to be, you gotta answer for it. It can't just be brushed away.
Oh man, Matt got creamed. Matt got trounced. No, that's the people.
I'm just playing with you, man.
If that's what people want to see, but I like to keep it civil and talk about the evidence. Okay, now, okay.
Hey, I'm glad we're still laughing at each other. I'm glad because why, I mean, man, that's what's wrong with the world today. Nobody can sit down and have a conversation anymore. Everybody wants to just get out in the field and start knocking the hell out of each other. And I don't like that, man. I like to go around and talk to the about evidence. I want to know the evidence. I'm a true crime guy. I want to know what actually happened, but I do know what happened in this case.
Okay, now let's get to that topic that you kept on bringing up. The fibers in the jacket that's now in evidence today, Exhibit 162, that supposedly is the jacket ditched by the tip.
Yes. I believe that the jacket was Oswald. The fiber from his shirt was found on it. Marina said that it was his. She answered with one word. It's like Bill Brown was telling you the other one that one word, and she said yes. It
No,
was his. That was wrong.
yeah, that was wrong. You want to start over?
Oh.
You want to start?
Huh? No, I'm sticking with that.
You want to
You're
start?
saying that Marina didn't say it?
Said it was Lee's old shirt.
What?
She said it was Lee's old shirt.
I said that.
No, that's what Marina said.
She said that the jacket being showed to her was Oswald's old shirt.
Hmm?
I don't get what you're saying.
Yeah, that's what she said.
So they're holding a jacket up in front of her saying, "Is this Oswald's?" And she looks at them and says, "That's Oswald's old shirt."
Yeah,
Wow.
unless unless it was a translation problem since she didn't speak English. So,
Yeah, I don't say that. I say that's not happening. That didn't
so,
happen.
let me let's do this. Okay, so the whole shtick here is that, they say that fibers found in the jacket match Oswald's shirt. And that jacket, they say, is Oswald's, and they say that he ditched it after he shot Tippett and threw it up under a car. They say he was trying to
Behind the Texaco off of Jefferson, yes.
change his appearance and everything. But, I'm going to do something unique. I'm going to concede that that the jacket that's now in evidence right now, Exhibit 162, is Oswald's jacket.
Thank you.
But I do not believe that was the jacket that was found that day under the car.
You say that the jacket was another jacket that was owned by Oswald that somehow the FBI got a hold of and started saying that it was found under the car.
No, I think the jacket was switched out. I think,
That's what I meant. That was a quicker way of saying what I just said.
yeah.
Okay, what's your evidence of that?
Well, we have the all the radio descriptions on the police radio that day saying that the killer wore a white jacket. We have the investigation report that says a white jacket and
White or light?
white, WHI,
Okay,
white.
okay.
And we have news footage of the jacket being found when they're holding it up, when they just pulled it out from underneath the car. And it's a white jacket. But what's in evidence right now is Oswald's gray jacket, which would explain why his fibers in his sleeve uh are there now, because I'm conceding that that's his jacket, so that's why fibers would be in there. So I think that the Tippett killer's white jacket was switched out for Oswald's gray jacket with his fibers in there.
Well, again, that gets back to my same point that I said before, that there's never any evidence. It's always I just truly believe it. And that's all I ever get from the CT side. That's all I ever get, man. I don't
No, no,
I-
no.
I-
So here's the jacket that was found that day, and it's white. And here's Oswald's gray jacket that's in evidence now. I mean, how more blatant can you get? They switched it out.
no, you're saying the colors don't match, but they were light in color. It wasn't like he had a black one on or a checkerboard one on or something like that. They were light in color. It gets back to the exact same thing that I was saying before, that
Oswald's jacket.
witnesses can be unreliable. They can see colors different. They can see how many shots are different. They can have two different opinions on the same crime that they just witnessed. And you have to take each one of them with a grain of salt, man. I mean, it's just the way it is. There's no other way to say it.
So
I'm telling you that the jacket that they found along that route, his escape route, belonged to him, was identified by Marina, had his fibers in it,
I just
and
conceded.
it was his jacket.
I
So,
just conceded that the
but
jacket.
what that shows to me is a guy trying to he gets rid of his jacket to change his appearance. He hits Jefferson, slows down, starts walking. The three guys are three or four with us across the street. They seen him change his attitude, turn.
They saw someone.
All of this works, man. All of it works. None of the jacket was somebody else's or the jacket was this. None of it explains off anything like that. It was his jacket, and you just said it yourself though. So I don't think that. I mean, how and who and why and how do you know that someone?
Again. Okay, so
You're going off a testimony off of somebody saying the color of it, but that's not enough to make to explain it off.
finish. So we have film of the jacket that was found, and it's white. And of course, we have Oswald's jacket that's in evidence now, and it's gray. How more slam dunk can you
What
get?
are you saying that you got the color of on there? Was it from a footage of a news camera or something?
Yeah,
Man, are you saying that the color couldn't have looked different on black and white photographs or black and white TV?
white. It's a
I
white.
mean, are you saying that light tan or light gray and a white color couldn't be confused on a black and white TV?
No, Oswald's jacket was gray. It wasn't. You might call it light gray, but if you look at the picture, if you look at the
Yeah,
1964,
it wasn't charcoal gray.
it's gray. It's gray. It's gray. It's gray.
Yeah, every time we get to a point to where we're trying to get to okay, this way or this way, it every single time it comes down to your opinion, Matt. That's all.
No,
I don't see anything else other than that, man. I don't see you.
photos.
You're
No,
you're
yeah,
saying that somebody planted it, but you won't.
we have photos, which
Oh
is
wait, you said that it was his.
we
Was it his coat? Maybe you're confusing me here. Was it his coat?
listen. Hold on. We have footage, which is physical evidence, and we have Oswald's jacket, that's now in evidence, which is physical evidence. So we have physical evidence, and it's not the same jacket. And what I discovered was that to further solidify this was that witness Ted Calloway that night was shown obviously the white jacket that was found that day, and they held it up to him, and he said, "Yep, that's it." And then in his testimony, they show him Oswald's gray jacket, and he can't identify it. So that further shows that it was switched, right?
No, I'm saying that the jacket found under the car was Oswald's that he ditched
No,
along the way on his escape route.
no, I
That's
don't think
what everything points to. I don't know if you're seeing the shade different and trying to think that it was switched out. Are you looking at the stitching, the shape of the collar, the pockets, all that stuff? Or are you just looking at the shade of it and going, hey, and then you're doing it on black and white TV and thinking that that's what it is? That's what I'm hearing.
so. It was described by every officer as white, and they announced over the Dallas police radio that it was white, and the investigative report says it was white, and we have the film which shows it's white, and then many months later, what's in evidence now is, oh, it's Oswald's gray jacket, and of course Marina identifies it because it's his jacket.
I'm saying that the same
Oh,
jacket that
of
they
course it
found behind the
was.
car earlier was the same one that's in the National Archives today.
What? What?
I'm saying that the jacket that they found underneath the car along his escape route is the one that they have in the National Archives today, and it belonged to Oswald. And there were fibers on the shirt that are inside of the sleeves that matched his shirt, and his
I
wife had said that it was his. What you're saying is some TV photograph or some TV or photographs and things like that exist that show it in a different shade. And I don't doubt that that may be true. That it may come out like that. But I'm telling you that the jacket in the National Archives today was the one found underneath the car that belonged to Oswald, that had his fibers in it, that he ditched to change the way he looked because he was in desperate flight from killing the president. That's what I'm saying. And I'm not just making that up. It's all there. It was found there. There was a jacket found there. Was he wearing a jacket when he got arrested?
hold on a second. So
Was he wearing a jacket when he got arrested?
a second. So the tip-it witnesses were shown Oswald's gray jacket that's now in evidence.
I'm saying some of them got it wrong. I'm saying in a traumatic an event like they just witnessed happen or witnessed or knew what happened as he was running away. I'm saying that they made some mistakes
Oh,
and
no,
they got some colors wrong.
I point out. So Warren Commission did the right thing. They brought out Oswald's gray jacket that's in evidence now, and they said, "Is this?" And they showed it to the tippet witnesses, and they said, "Is this the jacket that does that the running man, that the man you saw kill Tippett or saw the Tippett killer running away, is this and five of the six of them could not identify Oswald's jacket.
Not being able to identify it is just being honest and answering questions to it. They could have, that's all that is. They're not, if they can't, they couldn't do it means they couldn't do it. Not that that it wasn't the jacket. They just means that they didn't see it, because when you're witnessing something like that and you just witnessed a man lose his life, especially a cop, you're going to have some emotions and you're going to have some adrenaline going and you're going to see things differently. And that's what is going on here. And you're trying to capitalize off that, man, but you're not. I mean, you still have to explain why his fibers were in that jacket on under the car along escape route
Listening. You're
and
not
all that. We keep going.
you're not listening to what I said. Repeat back to me what I told you.
Sell me again. I don't.
I
You
want
keep losing me.
I'll repeat. I already laid out. Repeat back to me what I told you
I don't know which part you're talking about.
about
Are you saying that we agree on the jacket? We both say that it was Oswald's.
Oswald's jacket, gray jacket in the National Archives right now. What did I say about that?
You're just saying that it was swapped out, and you're saying that based on some TV footage that you can't really tell
Not
the
just that.
color on or anything like that.
Well, not just that, but okay. Okay, here's what I think happened. I think the Tippett killer wore a white jacket. The witnesses described it as a white jacket. The Dallas police radio reports describe it as a white jacket. The film footage of it being pulled out from underneath the car shows it was a white jacket. Ted Calloway is shown that white jacket later that night, and he identifies it. And then later on, what's put into evidence is Oswald's gray jacket that that has, of course, his shirt fibers in there, and is identified by Marina. And Ted Calloway cannot identify it, and four other witnesses who were shown the jacket could not ID it as the one that the Tippett killer was wearing. So I think that the Tippett killer wore a white jacket. They switched it out for Oswald's gray jacket.
But it's always they. You never know who did it. You never have any logistics. We get back to that same thing again. You don't know. It's just a feeling that you have.
Oh,
No,
I
what
just
happened was he took the jacket off and threw it under the car. It Just because they said what color it was doesn't make that exactly true that day. A lot of times people get the colors wrong and things like that. And you try to say, oh, what the police said that day. Well, of course, they're just repeating what they heard. So if one person gets it wrong, then it snowballs into this. But you don't explain to me whose jacket was it? Did he have a jacket on when he was arrested? No. There was nothing found inside of the theater where he stashed it or anything like that. There was nothing like that. Where did his jacket go? It has to be somewhere. Or
he was seen by one witness on his way to the Texas Theater, with his jacket draped over his arm. So Oswald had obviously taken it off. So I
but
think
why would he do that? Why would he go home and get it and then take it off? I mean, what sense does that make? Why would he ditch it? Why would he do any of that? He's trying to change his experience. He's trying to change his appearance in desperate flight from committing a murder.
we don't know that.
I mean, the thing's his, man. I mean, it's his jacket. We still get back to the same fact. I'm sitting here saying that the jacket's it's real. It's there. It's still there today. And
Yeah,
your
that's Oswald's.
explanation you're giving it to me is they went and swapped it out. Well, how do you know they did it?
I just
I
told you.
mean, how do you know?
I just told you.
No, you didn't tell me. You told me that the colors on the jacket didn't match and the way they described it didn't match. Okay, they could have looked at it and seen a light colored. They could have said light. They could have misunderstood that on the radio. But again, that's me speculating. But
Uh,
the fact remains is that Oswald's jacket was still found under the car on his route. That still remains a fact, man, and it's a fact that y'all can't. So you just have to automatically dismiss it, which what you're doing right now. You're just saying that it's not. You don't have any proof that anybody did anything other than this TV camera that you think that filmed it. But like I said before, is it the same stitching? Is it the same buttonholes? Is it the same all that kind of stuff?
would be a good,
Or is it just a completely different jacket altogether?
that would
Because I
That would be a good test to do, is to get Oswald's gray jacket out of cold storage in the National Archives and drape it like how it is in the news footage and see if the cuffs or
Let's
the
let's
full.
count some stitching. Let's do some,
Hold
and all that.
on, hold on, Charles. That's a good test that no one's ever done. No one.
I mean, to me, it's the first thing I would ask about. That's why I'm bringing it up now. I
That's
mean, I think that what you're saying is the TV crew, the camera in the '60s in black and white showed up as a different color. I'm thinking that, and if maybe if somebody
oh,
uh,
is it a
seen
coincidence?
the color is different, but the jacket's still there today. Okay, it's still there.
Oswald's jacket's there today, but I don't think it was the Tippet Killers.
Oh well, see, I think that Oswald killed Tippett,
I
so
think.
that makes it the killer's jacket.
Okay, let me try this again. Tippet Killer, who's not Oswald, ditches white jacket under car. White jacket under car is found and is later swapped out for Oswald's gray jacket. That's what I'm saying.
So his landlady was wrong, and all the people that seen him wearing the jacket was wrong. Where was his jacket? Where did they find it? Was he arrested wearing a jacket? Answer that. Was he arrested wearing a jacket?
No.
Okay. Did they find a jacket in the theater?
Maybe. We don't know that. We don't know that.
I'm saying no. Did they find a jacket anywhere along the way?
We don't know.
Yes, we do know. You just said they found a jacket under a car and they picked
Oh,
it up. But what you're saying is the color's
oh,
wrong. We don't like the color on '60s TV.
I thought you said, did they find Oswald's jacket along the way? No.
No, they found. I said, did they find a jacket along the way? Yes, they found a jacket along the way. Okay, those
Damn it.
inside of that jacket, do those fibers match? Yes, they match. I
I
mean, Matt, come on, man. You
think you're
gotta.
not to listen to. No, I think you're not listening to me. I don't think you're listening to me. I'm saying,
Okay,
okay,
what I get wrong?
okay. Let me simplify this again. This is okay. White jacket found, gray jacket in evidence.
Gray jacket found. Gray jacket in evidence. Misidentified by people that had just witnessed a murder and the color off the TV.
So all of
It's still there. You
so
can't just
all of the
what you it's a damning piece of evidence, and the reason why that y'all dismiss it is because it's real hard to explain that jacket, and so you just say, oh, it's not, it's like that with any piece of evidence.
I got
Nobody will say, hey, this is how I know the evidence happened, this is how I know that the jacket was planted, this is how I know that they were there. Y'all
so,
don't ever give any explanations for anything. You just, oh, it has to be true.
so the witnesses who told the cops that day that it was white, which went out over the police radio, and the cops who found the jacket who also put out on the police radio saying that it was white. They're all
I don't think that that erases the fact of the jacket being found and all that. I think that them
oh,
getting the color wrong and all that. I don't think that any of that erases the fact that the jacket was found there and that Marina said yes, that's his jacket, and that the fibers were found inside of the jacket.
I don't
That's real evidence.
I don't
That's really hard to explain that. So just saying that it's not real is not explaining it.
not
It
understand that. I don't think you understand what I'm
No,
saying.
I'm getting you where you're saying. I'm getting you're saying that they all said white and that it shows white on the camera, and that's your proof. Okay, what I'm saying is they might have said light. They might have said uh
We
uh
have police
or
tape.
they might have got it wrong from the evidence. We've seen through this whole case that witnesses got stuff wrong. They might have got it wrong this particular time too. And the camera footage on there shows the jacket. Okay. Now, I don't know if it's going to come out the same color or not, but I would be very interested in us doing what we were talking about counting stitches and buttonholes and cuffs and all that stuff.
That's a
I
good
think that that
test.
needs to be done.
That's a good test
That needs to be done.
that needs to be done. Absolutely.
They won't let you actually look at physical items unless you're an actual researcher and writing a book, and it's kind of hard to get in there.
Yeah.
So they won't just let anybody come in and just start looking at it, which I agree with. These are artifacts that need to be protected. But I don't think that
And,
that
it, and it's not, and again, we can keep going on this mountain of evidence, as I said, the tippet witnesses could not identify, five of the six of them could not identify Oswald's brown shirt that he was wearing that day. So it's like all this keeps adding up and pointing away. It's not.
no, I'm saying it. I'm saying fibers being left along the route and fibers on the gun and on the and all that. I think that overweighs people's
See,
opinion of what color something was.
you're smuggling again. You're saying fibers, fat. Yeah, I agree that is all that what's in evidence today is Oswald's jacket, and then therefore there would be his fibers in there. But what I'm saying is that's not the jacket that was found and described at the tippet
But
scene.
you're not going to offer me any logistics of how you know that that jacket made it into evidence today how they went in and stole one of his jackets and put it in evidence and saying that. You won't say that. You'll just say this is an easy way to explain it and that's the way I'm going to go with it. There's never any evidence of anything that ever happens like that. It's just a feeling that y'all have. You think that this has to be the reason and then you start filling in the blanks as to how you can prove how that happened. And it doesn't work that way, man.
I
I
gotta
don't
get
sit there and go, the jacket's not his. I'm looking at this jacket going, man, his wife says it's his. His fibers are on it.
one that's
It's
in
found
evidence.
along the route.
Okay.
See, if we were in a court and we were battling and you were the defense attorney and I was the prosecutor, we'd already have the evidentiary hearing. I would hold this up and I would say, this is his coat. And I would ask Marina and she would say, yes, that's his coat. And then what you would say is
That's not.
they went in and swapped it.
I
Huh?
agree. I said I agree that is.
But with no evidence. There's no evidence. There's no actual physical evidence. I mean, there's just not, man. There's nothing that says that he didn't do it.
All right.
I mean, that's just the way it is.
Hey, this is.
Man, we're gonna have to cut it now because I
Yeah.
just watched my phone. It just hit the battery on it. So,
All
hey, I
right.
hope we ain't done with this, man. I had fun today and I wanna keep going, man. So anytime you wanna,
I think we hit all the high
fill
points.
in some more.
I think we hit all the high points of your mountain. So.
Yeah, and it's still up there. I'm still looking at it. It's still so high. It's got snow on the peaks, man. It's
It's
on up there. I think
it's a
I just seen a
mudslide.
bighorn ram run by.
It's an avalanche melting. No. All right. Hey Charles, thanks for coming in and getting in the cage with me. Appreciate it.
Anytime, man. I'm always here. So, and if we let's run into each other this year out at the anniversary. I go every year.
Yeah, of
I
course.
go out there and hang out and everything. So, don't be a stranger, Matt.
All
I
right.
hope we're still good. I hope I didn't beat up on you too bad to where you don't want to hang out no more, man. It was pretty brutal for you, I know.
Tough skin. What are you talking about? No, we're great. All right.
All right, man.
Charles
Have
Ingram,
fun.
thanks for coming on.
Yeah,
Appreciate
we'll see you.
See ya.